Not the way practice went. Qualifying was good, but the practice, I think Sterling and the 24 cars is going to be strong, just like February. So it's going to be one of them races, just hot and slick.
And when it's hot and slick, what's the key? How do you win this 400-miler? You've had pretty good luck in this race, unlike that other race down here.
Well, you got to be able to stay on the mat longer than anybody else on a long run. And if you can run hard on a long run, you'll, maybe get away from them. But it's going to be slick, and the first of the race is going to be crucial. Everybody's gained up and bunched up and get strung out and get going there. We got a good starting position. Maybe me and Sterling hook up with the 24 and we go away from here.
All right, wish you good luck today.
Thanks, guys.
That is Dale Earnhardt. He starts from the pole, and that's a bit unlike his recent performances. I don't know where the number 2 guy is in the grid, but I hope he's standing by with Alan Bestwick, my pal Al. Let's hear from Sterling Marlin.
I will hear from Sterling Marlin in just a second, Dave. He's going to walk up on the stage and get introduced right now. He's won 2 times in the last 3 starts here at Daytona. He's won the 1994 and 1995 Daytona 500s.
Welcome its manager, Mr. Mike Carney. Mike?
Sterling's going to get an award here, so we're going to have to wait a second. They just pulled him away from us at the last second, but Sterling is right now 6 points up on Dale Earnhardt. We'll get a word with Sterling when he comes off that stage in just a second. Dave?
And winning spirit.
All right, have we figured out that it is chaos down here at driver introductions? It's wild. We're live. We're digging it, getting ready for the start of the race. Let's take a look at the top 20 in terms of the starting lineup here for today. You see that Chevy's dominated qualifying. They took the first 5 positions with the point battle right up there on the front row and a good run in qualifying for Presley. 3 Fords, a Chevy, and a Pontiac in the next 5. And note that the Waltrip brothers will be starting nose to tail. There's a lot of that going on here today. It's all Fords back in 11th through 15th spot. Spencer, of course, is your defending race champion. And as we round out the top 20, who's going to Shanghai this guy? No, let Alan Bestwick have him. Alan Bestwick has Sterling Marlin. Let's grab him quick if we can, guys.
Can you say chaos, Sterling? Hey, listen, you've had a lot of runs here at Daytona in the cooler weather of February that have been successful for you. How about your car over 50 laps today, the end of a fuel run in the hot weather? Can you get it handling where you can win today?
Well, we hope so. We worked on it pretty hard yesterday, and we was pretty good shape, and we'll give it our best shot. I think everybody's going to be in the same boat, just slipping, sliding around, and the man can keep the gas all the way down wide open all day. He's going to win the race, so hopefully we can do it.
Do you go out to try and lead the most laps and get those bonus points, or are you only concerned with that last one?
Well, the last is important, but we need to lead and get all the points we can, win a pretty tight points race with Dale and Jeff, and just get all we can.
All right, Sterling, good luck today. Outside of the front row starter, somewhere in the mayhem is Dr. Jerry Punch. Doctor?
Thanks, Alan. There have been some great finishes here in the Pepsi 400 in July. Take a look if you can remember this one. Back 1985, yes, the headline said surprise, and what a surprise it was. The paper said it was the biggest upset in NASCAR history. In fact, it probably still is. We're talking about Greg Sack's run 10 years ago today. Greg, what an effort that was.
Well, that was quite a special day, and, who knows, maybe this will be deja vu all over again. 10 years later, new deal, Hooters Ford, kind of like Days of Thunder days. We'll drop the hammer, loose is fast, and Rubbin's racing, baby.
It's very similar to what happened 10 years ago. A week before that race, you didn't have a ride, just like today. A week before this race, you did not have a ride and got in the car at the last minute.
That's 100% correct, and this is a one-race deal. That's the same thing it was back in 1985, one-race deal. And look at all the things that can come true. We've got a great opportunity here. The Hooters Ford is very fast. We've got a lot of straightaway speed. The track here at Daytona is very slick today. It's hot. The track is slick. A lot of the guys are really having a handful out there. So it's going to be who can hold the gas down all day long is going to be in front.
Let me remind you, folks, this guy probably has more laps on the racetrack than anyone here. Dave Marcus has started 54 times, but remember, for 6 months, every day, he ran hundreds of miles making the movie Days of Thunder. But one reminder, in Days of Thunder, they paid you to crash. Don't do that today.
Hammer down, baby.
All right, Dave?
I tell you what, if we don't work up a sweat today, we're not earning our money. And think what the drivers are going to go through in 400 miles. We'll be back to find out who's hot, how hot, and if we can find him in the craziness, we'll see what Wonder Boy's up to. Stay with us on NASCAR Today.
NASCAR Today is brought to you by the NASCAR Story, the complete history of NASCAR on home video. To order, call 1-800-71-NASCAR.
We're back at Daytona. The question, how hot is it? I happen to have the proper tool for determining that. I got it from the Goodyear people. They use this to do quick tire temperatures. The air temperature, can that be right? A mere 66 degrees. Pit road temperature, 110 degrees. And remember, it's 10:30 in the morning. Well, I can't read it to see what the forehead temperature is at this moment. I guarantee you it is going to be a very, very hot day to race 400 miles. And I believe my pal Al can tell me a bit about how the guys are going to cope with that today. Alan?
I sure can, Dave. First, they've started the last couple days by drinking a lot of fluids. There are also a lot of things on the race cars to try and help cope with the heat. An air vent. You see a little scoop on the side here connected to a hose going back into the car, trying to deflect some air up inside it. Little fan keeping things cool in Sterling's car. You look across, there's another one in that right side window. The hose leading all the way across to Sterling's seat. Got the drink bucket there in the back so he can sip water through the day. And then look down on the floorboard there by his feet. That's an insulated, heat-resistant mat. Those exhaust pipes running up underneath the driver throw a lot of heat off. Try and keep him from burning his feet as the day goes by today. So a lot of things the guys will do to keep from getting too hot inside the race car during the Pepsi 400. Dave?
All right, we have hot weather, we have hot cars, and we have a scorching hot battle for the Winston Cup Championship. We alluded to it at the top of the show. Let's take a look at how they stand as they come into this weekend's action. First of all, your top five. It's 12 points from first to third, just 121 from the leader Marlin all the way back to fifth-ranked Mark Martin. Move to the second five, 6th through 10th. Note 312 points takes in the whole top 10 from Sterling back to Morgan Shepherd. The spread last year was nearly double that, and a lot of new faces in the upper echelon. Marlin was 14th at this time last year. Fourth-ranked Musgrave was 11th a year ago. The Labonte brothers are both a lot better than last year, and making way for the new guys, Ernie Irvin, last year's point leader at this time, subsequently injured, and of course Petty, Rudd, and Schrader, who have all struggled a bit this year. Jeff Gordon has moved up as well. He was 9th at this time last year. He's third now and just 12 points behind Earnhardt, and yet you continue to insist that you don't consider yourself a title contender, and a lot of people would think that's strange. You still feel that way?
Well, you know, we go at it like we do each and every race. We go out there to win, and if we can't win, then we're going to take the best finish that we can get. And if we can, you know, successfully accomplish those goals each and every week, each and every race, then that title may come along with it. But we're not thinking, you know, we don't want to start racing for points. That's not what we're about. We're about going out to win.
Let me ask you about this racetrack. We know that you love it in February. It's where you really created your name. Do you like it in July? Because it's a lot different place.
I don't know if any of us like it in July. I mean, I'm looking right here in the shade. It's 89. I pointed over there. It's 105, you know, and that's the way it is out there on the racetrack. It gets really hot and slick, and the handling of the cars go away immediately, and the wear on the tires go away. And so the guy who can get out front, because you really need that front air to get the nose of the car down, because we're going to be starting out loose, then all of a sudden we're going to start pushing. I'm going to be screaming, yelling on the radio all day long, so I got to tell them guys to keep me calm down, but we've got a really good car here today.
All right, good luck. He comes from third starting spot. With that, let's go to the top Pontiac on the grid, and Dr. Jerry Punch.
And we're standing by here with Michael Waltrip as Dale Earnhardt rides by in the pace car and picks at Michael a little bit. And Michael, still looking for that first Winston Cup win, but so many near misses, particularly at the speedways. A 6th here in February, this past Daytona 500, 3rd at Talladega last year, and once again you lead the Pontiac Parade, qualifying 8th.
Well, we've always done well at these racetracks. We had a shot to win the Daytona 500 in '92, running second to Davey there with just a few laps to go and broke. But the Pennzoil Pontiacs run well all week. It's handling good, and that's what it takes. You got to handle good to do good today.
Speaking of hot Pontiacs, a couple of weeks ago you had a pretty hot temper at the end of Michigan. You've had a few weeks now to think about what happened, what went on, and what are your thoughts?
It was out of line what I did, and I hate that I did it. I hope that race fans didn't lose respect for me. It's kind of out of character for me, but I know one thing for sure. The competitors, the people I race with, and the guys in the garage area, they understood. Almost to a man, they've all come up and told me that, things happen on the racetrack that we don't like, and sometimes you lose your temper. If that had happened with 20 or 30 to go, I would have been over it by the end of the race. But just went over to tell Lake that I wasn't too pleased with him, and when I got there, I lost my temper for a minute. But wasn't no way I was going to hurt him. Just kind of meant to try to explain to him that I felt like what he did was out of whack, and what I did wound up being out of whack instead.
Takes a big man to admit he makes a mistake on national television. Dave?
Earnhardt's going around harassing everybody, including yours truly. I've just been bumped from behind by the Winston Cup champion. There's a lot of family togetherness in this field. We got the Walter boys starting nose to tail. Rusty and Mike Wallace are doing the same, and Brett and Jeff Bodine. Get out of here. We got a commercial to do. We'll be right back. Back at Daytona International Speedway, on the move, in the heat, down here to talk about Ricky Rudd's Ford. Yeah, it's a Ford now and will remain a Ford next year. That was made official this week, ending all the rumors about him switching to Pontiac. You know that the Moroso team, the Grand National team that Jimmy Spencer drove a couple of races for, has been for sale. We hear that Dale Earnhardt is very interested in buying that. One source says he's got the deal all locked up, although it has not been made official yet. And who knows what he might be doing with that in 1996. You may have also heard that there has been a lot of rain in Virginia, the home of Rick Mast. Well, Rick actually had to pull a few strings to get here to the racetrack this weekend. But the thing about Mast, living where he lives, well, he's seen it all before.
You know, I got flooded out in '85, real bad. I mean, we lost everything. So when I was able to, I guess in '91, I built a house about a quarter mile down the road from that house, but up on a big hill, you know, so I wouldn't get flooded. But then it caught on fire. Well, this week, we're home again. I go to bed about 11 and it's sprinkling. I wake up at like 7 the next morning, and shoot, you can't get out of Rockridge Baths. You know, all the roads are washed out, the bridges washed out, everybody's up on the rooftops, and the floods are around everywhere. So what I did, I got a little buddy that works for the state and had me a helicopter lined up to get me out of there later on that evening, because we had to get down to Daytona.
All right, he made it to Daytona, and we'll be starting here very shortly. What do we, we're closing in on start time, maybe 15 minutes away. Word in the garage area about rule changes. Some talk that they might add another an eighth of an inch to the Fords next week, but now we hear maybe that's just a trial balloon. And an even bigger deal would be the removal of the sway bars. Alan Bestwick can tell us in more detail what that's all about.
Dave, in particular, the rear sway bar on the car. The rear sway bar is an item. All the cars have run a front sway bar for a lot of years. It helps stiffen the chassis, keep the body from rolling quite so much. Well, they've been using a rear sway bar in a lot of cars for about a year now. A lot of teams spending a lot of time experimenting with it and testing it. Well, yesterday the word got around the garage that maybe NASCAR was going to take those all away starting next week in New Hampshire. A lot of crews were not real happy to hear that because they've spent a lot of time testing and using their setups, adapting them to it. Ray Evertham is the man who was probably the most upset about it. He's Jeff Gordon's crew chief. Here's what he had to say.
You know, I don't understand why some rule changes come into effect. You know, if you can have a front one, why can't you have a rear one? The 95 Monte Carlo comes stock with a rear sway bar, and there's been rear sway bars in NASCAR since 1966, but, you know, some people can get them to work and some people can't, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand it, but we're not going to let it become a big thing in our camp.
All right, so that's the story right now. The rear sway bars may be going away. We hear this morning that's not a definite yet. Now, Todd Bodine has got a good starting spot for today's race. His car sitting just across the way from us. Todd, how about your chances to make today number one?
Well, normally Daytona, Talladega races, we run really well. It's the same car we've had at all those races, and it's always been a good car for us. But unfortunately, in the last practice, we had a bad set of tires, and we never got the car figured out, and when we realized we had bad tires, it was the end of the practice. So we're kind of guessing on our setup a little bit, which is not really a fun thing to do here at Daytona, but hopefully we guessed right, and the car will be good again.
All right, starting on the outside of row number 3, good luck today. Todd Bodine starting 6th. Now let's go down the grid to Dr. Jerry Punch.
Jimmy Spencer's last 2 trips to Daytona represent totally opposite ends of the emotional spectrum. A year ago in this race, he made a last-lap daring pass in turn 2 to get his first ever career victory. What an emotional high. And then this past February, he missed making the field due to a crash in the qualifying race in the biggest race of the year. And Jimmy Spencer, it has been feast or famine for you here at Daytona.
Well, it really has, Jerry. You know, I'll tell you something. You know, to be qualifying the last 4 or 5 races in the top 15 has been a big improvement for this race team. To miss the Daytona 500 has been the biggest upset of my career, and I'm sure for Travis Carter and Smokin' Joe's team. But, you know, we ran well at Talladega, and I'm looking forward to running here well today, and hopefully we can defend our winners last year.
Turning things around tremendously for this team in the second half.
It really has. You know, the wind come out of our sails, so to speak, at Daytona, and it took about 5, 6 races for them to get over that, me included. And, you know, once again, we ran well at Talladega and Michigan and Charlotte and Dover, and hopefully we have a good run here today in the Pepsi 400.
Well, Smokin' Joe and Jimmy start 15th today in the Pepsi 400, Dave.
All right, thanks, Doc. Been said many times, racing is a family, and a loss for one member affects us all. Our condolences this week to Larry McReynolds and his family. Larry lost his mother after a long battle with cancer. And a member of our ESPN family is gone. Mark Gleckel made a lot of great racing pictures for this network over the years, and yesterday gave his life doing what he loved best, shooting racing in the California desert. Our hearts go out to Maria and the kids. We'll take a break and come back with more. We're live at Daytona, where a huge crowd has gathered for the Pepsi 400, and every single person in the grandstand today came to see Robert Presley win his first Winston Cup stock car race. I guarantee it. You got a great starting spot, 5th, as you battle for Rookie of the Year. Congratulations on qualifying.
Oh, I tell you, it feels good to be up here in the Leo Jackson Skull Band at Monte Carlo. You know, we unloaded here and run good, only run like 5 laps of practice and qualified in the top 5, and now getting ready for this race setup, but this will be a nice place to win our first one.
We came down here in February. There was a mob scene for this rookie deal. It's kind of shaken down to 2 guys, you and Craven, and you're 2 points apart. How do you think it's going to play out in the second half?
Well, one of us going to win, the other one's going to be runner-up. That's official now, just about. But, no, Ricky's going to be tough to beat, and, you know, we're just going to try to get us some top 10s because that's really all that matters from here on out. So, from here on, just race everybody instead of Craven.
All right, man. Good luck today. Have a good run.
Thank you.
From 5th starting spot, Robert Presley. Let's talk about some of the driver changes that are taking place for this weekend. There have been a couple of them that are key, and I believe that Alan Bestwick is standing by with that story. Alan?
Yeah, sure have, Dave. Hope you've been keeping your scorecard with pencil. Jimmy Hensley going to get into Bill Davis's Pontiac. Andy Hillenberg going to drive the Dick Brooks Pontiac here this weekend. Let's start with Jimmy. A full-time ride, Jimmy. Do you have something to prove the rest of this year in this car?
Well, I certainly like to stay in it, you know, and do a good job for the Bill Davis team. It's a good team. I'm glad to be with Pontiac, MBNA, America. You know, it's a good sponsor, and we hope we can do the job and stay, you know, the rest of the year.
Andy Hillenberg won the ARCA 200 here at Daytona in February. He's also the ARCA Series point leader. What can you expect to accomplish in a one-shot ride here at Daytona?
Well, the biggest thing is we're looking to finish the race and get that 160 laps experience, you know, racing with the big boys here. You know, these guys got moves that I hadn't seen before, and I'm really looking forward to that. And maybe we can get up there and open some eyes, too. So we'll just hope to be around at the end of the day.
All right, we wish you both luck. Andy, thank you. Jimmy, good luck today. Jimmy Hensley, Andy Hillenberg in the field today.
All right, thank you very much, Alan. Good luck to those guys. Everybody hopes they can take a one-time deal and turn it in to the rest of the season deal. Well, behind me, you can see the crowd, and you can see this racetrack, and it looks a lot like February. The size and shape of the Daytona Speedway remains the same from February to July, but an awful lot of other things change rather dramatically, and the heat has more to do with that than anything else. Let's hear what the drivers say about February versus July.
Everybody goes to the wind tunnel. They get the slickest car they can come with. It's a speed racetrack. You know, that's all you concentrate on the whole month of January in testing. That's all you concentrate on in February. Speed, speed, speed. And even when the 500 comes around, you're still looking for speed. You come back in July, and nobody cares about speed. They care about the way their cars drive. It's a handling racetrack. It gets really, really slick. And a lot of people don't even bring their Daytona cars back, their February cars back. They bring their Atlanta car, their Charlotte car, something that they know is going to drive really, really good. And even though the speeds are close, you know, within 2 or 3 miles an hour, once they drop the green flag, they drop off a lot more drastic in the July race than they do in the February race. So, you know, I think everybody comes back in mind, and that's why we were down here testing, to try to get a car that drove good, not a car that run fast.
I can tell you, it's a totally different racetrack. I know leading up to qualifying, myself and a number of other drivers, you have your hands full out there just trying to keep it on the racetrack and off the wall.
You work a lot harder on a race setup in the Firecracker than you do the 500. The 500, when the track's cooler, the air's better, the cars just tend to naturally handle better. Here, everybody's just changing everything in the world, trying to get the best setup they possibly can, and we'll be right there with them doing it.
And we'll be right back to wrap up the story of the Pepsi 400 warm-up as we get set for the fall of the green flag and all of the action. Stay with us on ESPN. All right, now am I sweating yet? We started in the garage area. We went to the grid. No, we started in the driver introduction. We went to the garage, went to the grid. Now I'm heading all the way up there to the roof to do the ESPN2 thing with the onboard camera. It's going to be way cool. Hope you're going to stay with us all late morning and afternoon long here on ESPN. We do have time to talk to at least one more guy, and it's appropriate, I think, as we wrap up the month of Labonte. Bobby and Terry have been terrors for the last 4 races, and I believe the junior member of the brother duo is standing by with Dr. Punch.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Talking about heat, this guy is one of the hottest guys on the circuit. 2 wins in the last 6 weeks. How about those 3 runner-up finishes? And Bobby Labonte, it has been your series the past, you and brother Terry, and of course the Labonte family, even Justin, the Terry's little boy, winning races the last month and a half. How about the momentum you're carrying here in Daytona?
Well, you know, I think that the whole Interstate Batteries team is pumped up. We're awfully excited, and you know, there is something to you know, momentum, and you know, we definitely you know, have had some good races and a couple wins the past 4 weeks, and you know, but anything can happen. We're just looking forward to today and get this race over with, and we'll go to the next one. We just take it one race at a time, really, and don't worry about much other than that, and just do the best we can.
How about that car number 4 in front of you? You stay pretty close to him. His record's pretty doggone good on this super speedway.
I tell you, it is. You know, Sterling's an awful good racer here, you know, and today the heat does make a factor because the cars are going to be looser than they are in February, but he's real good at being easy on the throttle, and he definitely is one of the guys here to follow. He's going to be one of the guys to beat, I'm sure. So we just want to say hey to everybody, Interstate Batteries. We're just going to go out and just do the best we can today.
Bobby Labonte starts in 4th place today. Bobby, quickly, in Daytona back in February, you had one of the 3 or 4 quickest cars here, had a problem with about 15 laps to go, had a shot at it.
Yeah, well, we really did have a really good race car, and you know, got hung out to dry there one time in the draft, and got on the outside of us another car and going into one, and hit a place up there that I couldn't get my car to turn real good, and then when it did turn, it spun out on me. So I don't want to do that today.
Bobby Labonte, a big smile, hoping for big things today from this Interstate Battery Chevrolet. Dave?
All right, thanks, Jerry. Gets ready to go to work over on the mothership as we do the flag-to-flag thing with the guys in the ties. We've made our way all the way to the grandstand just in time to find out. Lean down here, honey. Tell me who's going to win the race today. Jeff Gordon, she says, is going to win the race today. We're up here on this banking. I'm about ready to roll down the hill. My cameraman's knees are killing him. Take a look at where we're going here. We got ESPN and ESPN2 with live coverage of the Pepsi 400 coming up. And then next week we go to Loudon, New Hampshire, Saturday morning, 11 o'clock Eastern time, Sunday, 12:30 Eastern. Speed Week is at 12:30 on Friday night Eastern time. MRN, of course, has NASCAR Today every day on your Motor Racing Network station. And with that, magically, we have used up every bit of time in our television program. For Jerry Punch and Alan Bestwick, Dave Despain says, I'm out of breath. So long from Daytona.
When the sun don't shine, I close my eyes to see 12 wild horses in silver chains calling out to me. Daytona, shine your light on me.
They've been coming to this beach and racing cars since even before I was born, and folks, that's a long, long time. First it was on this beach, and then in 1959 they moved about 5 miles inland. But one thing has been consistent all the time. Handling has been the key, and this year it's no different. The gears, the springs and shocks, those mechanics take off. Those race cars will determine who will win.
And Benny, with those parts in mind, the critical elements that teams must combat here at Daytona in July can be summed up with 3 H's: heat, humidity, and handling. Now, when the green flag waves momentarily, this track temperature could exceed 130 degrees. The humidity over 90%, and that means that handling, downforce, is downright critical. That's why the Monte Carlo package and new aerodynamics was so critical here in February and again today. Remember, the top 5 in qualifying are all Chevrolet. But the burning question here in this heat is, how do you get a handle on this racetrack? John?
Jerry, it sounds like it should be easy. It involves 4 springs, 4 shocks, but they have a limitless number of combinations with just these 8 simple pieces. So with all these different choices that the teams have to make, it's amazing that anyone figures this whole thing out. Bill?
John, 43 drivers hoping they have the setup that gets them here to victory lane. 1 out of every 3 races in Daytona history has been won from the front row, and what a front row it is today. Dale Earnhardt and Sterling Marlin, but you only have to lead 1 lap to win this race, and that's exactly what Jimmy Spencer did last year. He led the last lap, but tradition has taught us that here at Daytona, trouble can derail the swift and the strong in a flash.
She ain't easy, so you take good care, or she will scream down on your lust. She can please you like no other, or she can leave you in Daytona.
It is Daytona. It is always unpredictable. It's the 4th of July holiday weekend, and it is the halfway point of the 95 Winston Cup schedule. And as we take a look at the top 5 in point standings, you can see there is no clear dominator at this point. All 5 are well within striking distance of the points leader, Sterling Marlin. Marlin has established himself as most consistent with 11 top 10 finishes, and he has yet to exit a race. Jeff Gordon, however, has the most wins. As was the case at Darlington earlier this year, there are 2 ways you can watch this race today. Dave?
Hey, thanks, Jank. I've found a very cool place. A, it is air-conditioned. B, it is the nerve center for our in-car camera coverage of the race, simulcast on ESPN2, while the guys in the ties do it flag to flag on the mothership. Get all those cables hooked up, get 2 TVs, you're going to need them, because we have 24 of these little high-tech babies shooting the action from a total of 8 cars, including, can we pick them, 3 in the first 2 rows. We got radios to the drivers, to the crew chiefs, to the spotters up on the roof. Those guys will do all the talking, and all I have to do is go up and work on my tan and get us to the commercials. It's a very cool gig. One more thing. Hey, Parsons.
What do you want now, Spain?
Last week at Bristol, you got me with that tie thing. This week, you're the guy in the tie. I'm going to go do it on the deuce. See ya.
Hey, Despain, the beautiful part about this job, they only shoot me from the waist up. Hey, I got a race to do. I got to go.
Burning passion, heat my day. Let me sit inside your wonder. Cloudless daydream, oh dance of dances. To have tamed the sound of thunder. Daytona. Shine your light.
ESPN Speed World coverage of the Pepsi 400 being brought to you by the Pepsi-Cola Company, who reminds you that nothing else is a Pepsi. By Allied Signals Fram filters, you can pay a little now or a lot later. And by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life. The cars have fired their engines, they have rolled away, and in a lap and about 3/4, we will be ready to give you the green flag. Now, the in-cars, and as Dave told you in the pre-race show, we have 8 in-car cameras working today, or 8 cars that carry a total of 24 cameras, including Earnhardt and Martin and Musgrave and Bobby Labonte, Loy Allen, Morgan Shepherd, Jeff Gordon, and Ken Schrader. Here's the starting lineups. Dale Earnhardt is on the pole at 191.355. Sterling Marlin alongside at 190.718. It's Jeff Gordon third, then Bobby Labonte, Robert Presley and Todd Bodine, Dale Jarrett and Michael Waltrip. Darrell Waltrip starts 9th, then Mark Martin, Lake Speed, Dick Trickle, Morgan Shepherd, Ricky Rudd, and Jimmy Spencer starting in 15th position. The second 15 include Kyle Petty at the top in 16th position, and on down to Hut Strickland, who will begin the race from 30th starting place. And as you can see, the field is once again tightly bunched with just a little over a second separating the fastest from the slowest qualifier. And there are 4 provisionals, and then Bill Elliott took a previous champions provisional to get into the race. 43 cars in the grid. Here is Dale Earnhardt. He is on the pole right behind the Pontiac pace car, getting set to go. Mark Martin will line up behind him. There's the roof cam on the Valvoline Ford.
Kenny Schrader, the Budweiser Chevrolet, will be carrying an in-car camera today. There's on top of his car, the roof of his car, as he watches Brett Bodine get ready to start. Ted Musgrave, the Family Channel car, the Jack Roush automobile, carrying the in-car camera. There's Morgan Shepherd, the camera on the roof of his car.
He'll start in 13th position.
And Bobby Labonte. Oh, I'm sorry, this is Loy Allen. We have that's Loy Allen car that we're on top of.
Jeff Gordon also carries one of the cameras. He starts in 3rd position, is 3rd in points coming in. He qualified at 630. And so we should be able to cover the race for you well here on ESPN. And of course, the Deuce has the in-car coverage for you all race long.
There it says, hi, Papa Joe. Rick and Papa Joe.
And there's Bobby Labonte.
There's Bobby Labonte in the outside the second row. And the 3, the 4, Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, and Jeff Gordon, the 24 car, worked together yesterday in practice. These 3 cars worked together all day long. I would expect those 3 cars trying their best to hook up and say see you to the rest of the guys.
We're glad you could join us on this 4th of July holiday weekend. Breakfast at Daytona coming up. The pace car is off the racetrack, and with a record crowd, here we go. The race on. Pepsi 400 underway.
Bobby Labonte along to hang Sterling Marlin after the ride.
He's up to 3rd, battling with Sterling. But it is Dale Earnhardt who leads Jeff Gordon down the backstretch now. It appears as if Labonte may be on the low side of the racetrack, battling back in 4th position as Dale Jarrett moves up to the inside of Todd Bodine, and they come through corner number 4 for the first time.
And Dale Earnhardt will lead that first lap. Now, you saw the 28 car, folks. If you wonder where Ned Jarrett is, he's in Milwaukee doing a truck race.
For CBS, Ned, we wish you good luck in your broadcast today. We wish you were here, but we know you'll enjoy our coverage of this event. Battling back in the pack, Mark Martin up on the high side. Behind him, Ricky Rudd and Darrell Waltrip there on the low side.
Woo. And he closes right up on the back bumper of Michael Waltrip. Does Mark Martin. That leaves Dale Jarrett. I hope Dale is not down there beside of him. No, he can't be.
The first 8 or 10 cars now in single file formation, but they're double wide from there on back. Mark Martin running in 8th position. There's the side-by-side battle between Dale Jarrett and Ricky Rudd. The outside groove begins to move away.
And Kyle Petty and Loy Allen, Jimmy Spencer thought about putting his nose in there, making it 3 wide. Why did he chose not to do that?
Not this early in this race.
And Dale Jarrett finally gets in line. He says, thank you, Jimmy Spencer.
Now Darrell Waltrip hung down on the inside along with Lake Speed as they once again rode to turn number 3. We have a problem in the 11 car, is that right?
Yeah, Bob. Brett Bodine has radioed in and told Junior Johnson and the crew that his throttle is hung wide open. Now, you'd think here at a place like Daytona with the high banks, hey, that's what you want to do. But, Benny, maybe you can touch on this. When you're working traffic as slick as it is here, it's pretty bad to have that throttle hung wide open for you, isn't it?
Of the 43 cars out there, the only car right now that possibly could be running wide open would be Dale Earnhardt, the leader. All these cars running nose to tail and alongside each other. They have to back off the throttle going into the corner. So yes, you do not want the throttle hanging, even at Daytona or Talladega. Now Darrell's going to move up behind leg speed and get in line. Yes. Darrell Waltrip was bragging on his car yesterday, Bob, how well it was running, the Western Auto Chevrolet.
Darrell Waltrip, of course, has one win here at Daytona. He won the 500 in 1989, has never won the Pepsi 400, looking for victory #1 in this race here today. There's the 27 car driven today by Greg Sachs. Behind him is Lake Speed. Now on top of the Mark Martin car once again.
It's Valvoline Ford, our winner at the Winston Select 500 in Talladega, so we know that this car is capable of running very well on these big racetracks.
He's running in 7th position. Behind him is the 10 car, Ricky Rudd. There's Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip down on the low side.
Well, Kyle started 16th, and he's worked his way up to 10th, so Kyle Petty, the Coors Light car, on the way to the front. It's Loy Allen directly behind Kyle, and then Dale Jarrett.
It is still Dale Earnhardt leading Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin, and Bobby Labonte.
Right now, Robert Presley is in the 5th spot, and Todd Bodine is 6th.
Those 4 cars kind of broken away from the rest of the pack. There's 5th on back, and still some side-by-side racing through the 3rd and 4th corners, and Kyle Petty continues to move up.
Trying to go forward, but now he's hung on the inside as he and Rudd awfully close together.
At the line, Kyle Petty has a half a car length advantage. Let's see if he can utilize that advantage going into turn 1. And Morgan Shepherd has a great view of everything going on up ahead of him. Jerry Punch has more on Dale Jarrett.
Guys, some anxious moments this morning for the Robert Yates Racing Team and Dale Jarrett. Yesterday, they had their race engine in the final practice session, and they found metal this morning in the Oberg filter. Now, Robert Yates said, we've got to somehow put an engine together that's going to be strong enough to race. They took the heads off the engine they had in yesterday. They found a short block in the truck and basically rebuilt an engine using parts of 2 motors. That put it in this morning prior to the race and said, we'll say a prayer and hope it hangs together for 400 miles. Bob?
All right, we'll continue to keep our eye on that.
Boy, now, Kyle Petty could not get by Ricky Rudd a moment ago, and he's falling back. As a matter of fact, these guys need to get hooked up nose to tail, or the front draft is going to drive away as Loy Allen pulls up on the outside.
Oh, he's way up high on the track, and so is
Spencer. Yeah. Is right on the back bumper of Kyle Petty, and here comes Jarrett and Michael Waltrip. Now they're going to try to get hooked up and draft alongside. Is Michael going to hang Dale out, or is he going with him?
Like he's going to go with him on the low side. They leave Jimmy Spencer up top. Morgan Shepherd also working the high side of the racetrack as Greg Sachs is to the left.
Now Sachs is hung out on the inside. Laps into the race, we get into the point. These cars are starting to slip and slide. Who has the best chassis?
Mark Martin moves to the inside of Todd Bodine, trying to pick up a position, and he does. He moves to 6th.
And we heard Todd Bodine say that they just guessed at the chassis setup they found yesterday in practice. They had a set of tires that were not matched properly, and who knows, John Kernan.
Well, I just came over to Troy, talking to him. Troy says right now we think we've got the handle on the car that we need, but exactly what they're doing is just kind of riding around, biding their time. This is a long race. Let's go down to Jerry Punch.
Could be an omen for Mark Martin. Remember Talladega on the final practice session, they lost their race motor with a burn piston on the very first lap of practice. Well, as fate would have it, yesterday afternoon, as they were leaving pit road, hadn't even had a lap of practice in the final session, boom, there went the race engine with a burn piston. So they had to go back, as they did in Talladega, and put the qualifying motor back in. We all know what happened back in May. They led the most laps and won the race, Bob.
Well, still good battles going out on the racetrack. Here's Bodine battling back, trying to get that position. He lost to Mark Martin again. Behind him is Kyle Petty, and we ride with Loy Allen, who's performing well here in the early going. That's Ricky Rudd, of course, beside him. Ken Schrader is in this battle, along with Michael Waltrip and others.
We saw Mark Martin pass Todd Bodine, but he got down in turn one last lap and almost lost control and let all these other cars gain on him. Loy Allen, I talked to Dave Fuge for quite a while yesterday afternoon. He had no idea what kind of chassis setup he was going to run today, and it looks like Fuge made a good pick.
4 cars are nose to tail. It's Dale Earnhardt, the pole sitter of this race, going for $98,800 in Unocal bonus money. He leads the Pepsi 400 after 10 laps. Daytona, and my, how things can change in just a short length of time. Sterling Marlin has the lead at the moment, and this is how it happened.
They come through the tri-oval. Jeff Gordon dives on the inside of Earnhardt. Sterling Marlin decides I will go with him, and also Bobby Labonte. But as they come off the second corner, watch as Earnhardt pulls up on the outside of Jeff Gordon. Now these cars slow down. Sterling Marlin comes to the inside, makes it 3 abreast. Bobby Labonte goes with Sterling Marlin. To the front they go.
So it's Marlin, Labonte, Gordon, and Earnhardt at the moment. There is Bobby Labonte's in-car camera.
Contraire. Earnhardt is back to 5th. Robert Presley moved into 4th spot.
Those cars battling side by side allowed Presley to catch up with the lead draft, and now there are 5 cars in the lead draft. Robert Presley is 4th, and Earnhardt is back to 5th position. Sterling Marlin, only the 6th race he has led this year, and all have been on the super speedways.
Earnhardt, our 5th place car, from on top of his car, and Bobby Labonte, the 2nd place runner.
Here's Jerry Punch with a comment on the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip.
We told you the heat would take its toll. It's already beginning to do so as a number of drivers have complained of the cars really starting to slip and slide. Among those, the former 3-time series champion Darrell Waltrip's Western Auto Chevrolet. And his apparently has a problem with the car not only getting hot a little bit, but also getting slippery and a little bit loose. He's had to back out of the throttle. Let's go to John Kernan.
Jerry, Todd Bodine, we've seen, has dropped a couple of spots. We're not sure if it's been a result of a handling problem because his radio is out. He's not communicating with the crew. But the good news for Troy Selberg and the rest of the factory stores and America team, Todd can hear them. So they've worked out some hand signals. When he goes by the start-finish line right across from where they're pitted, he will touch the window post if it is tight. If the car is loose, he'll reach out and touch the door.
Kenny Schrader has really been on the move, BP. He started 26th, and he's battling for 6th position.
He was in 6th, but Jimmy Spencer just passed him and took over that spot. And we can see 2 distinct grooves. Some of the cars running on the very top, and Spencer that time through the bottom of the turns 1 and 2.
And Jimmy Spencer started from 15th. He is the defending champion of the Pepsi 400, having won here last year in a dramatic last lap pass.
Jimmy Spencer, one of the 5 cars today that are carrying the Jack Roush engine. And look at Loy Allen on the very, very top of the racetrack, right behind Kyle Petty.
Bill Weber has more on Spencer.
Well, guys, you were talking about Jimmy Spencer's run last year when he won this race. He's got virtually the same setup on that car, and here's why. That team blew their motor in final practice, at the end of final practice last night. Crew Chief Cecil Gordon told me this morning they changed everything. It's a cliche, except the number this morning. He said, we worked our butts off, but they think they're going to be good, and so far they have been.
They have been very impressive here in the early going.
There we see Spencer, Schrader, Jarrett, Petty, Loy Allen, Todd Bodine, and now Jeff Bodine tries to go on the inside and pass his younger brother and does it.
Look at some of the cars running way up by the
Look at them.
Benny.
Some guys right on top, some guys right on the bottom.
Loy Allen has been up there just about since the green flag drop, and we are riding with him at the moment. Let's see how he goes high into turns 1 and 2.
That's why all that pack's back up to you now when you're in single file.
And a pass for third position is Jeff Gordon.
Well, they tried. Earnhardt tried to get by me. He has been able to get by Robert Presley. But now Jeff Gordon dives down. He's going to try Bobby Labonte. And look at Earnhardt up on top of the racetrack.
Earnhardt way up high.
I don't think he wants to be up there.
Especially after what happened to him in Michigan, I would think he'd be avoiding getting anywhere close to the wall.
I talked to Bobby Hutchins, the engineer on the Rickard Children's. We heard the spotter talking to Loy Allen. But I talked to Bobby Hutchins. He said that car that Earnhardt crashed last week destroyed that car. In 7 years, they fixed every car that Earnhardt has wrecked except that one, and they threw it away. And we can see Earnhardt is having some handling problems right now, Bob. I mean, he has to go up there because that's where the car dictates it wants to go.
There are your top 15 as 19 laps have been completed. Jerry, is the problem on Earnhardt as serious as it looks?
Well, Bob, it's getting that way, and Benny, that was a very astute observation. One of the reasons Earnhardt is using all the racetrack is the car will not turn in the corners. He has a serious push. As the car goes into the turn, the car goes up across the racetrack. So to keep from wearing out the tires and possibly having a problem with the car, he will keep the car up higher and higher on the racetrack. So they have a push. Now, when they do get a pit stop, they plan to make an air pressure adjustment in the right front tire to rectify that problem.
That's the key thing that Jerry Punch brought up. A very good point. Earnhardt is taking that car up there to save that right front tire. He can probably force that car on the bottom of the racetrack, but it would be damaging that right front tire. Earnhardt will use all the grooves possible around this racetrack. One of the very best.
With no cautions, where can we expect to see the first pit stops?
I would guess somewhere around 55, 60 laps.
Jeff Bodine also on the move here. He has really come up, and
Dale Jarrett has passed this group in the Haviland Texaco Ford. There we see him leading Jimmy Spencer and Kenny Schrader, Loy Allen, Jeff Bodine, Kyle Petty, and Michael Walter.
Jeff Bodine started 25th, has worked himself into the top 10.
There we see Schrader on that high groove, and also Loy Allen right up at the top of the racetrack in the very last lane on top. Spencer moves up. Spencer moves up, and Loy had to back out of the gas, and we see Jeff Bodine trying to take advantage of it.
Boy, when you lift off of these restrictor engines, you lose a lot.
Lose a lot. And thank God that Loy Allen did back up and let Spencer have that spot. You know, let's don't race over 18 feet. You know, because that 18 feet can get you in a lot of trouble.
So Loy Allen loses a few positions here, and this is how it happened as he came off of corner 2.
And you see, he does. He touches the wall with that right rear, and Spencer moves up right in that spot.
Former pole sitter for the Daytona 500, Loy Allen, still up high on the racetrack.
See Michael Walker trying to get behind the Pennzoil Pontiac. We can hear the engine in the Hell Source car. Watch it. Listen as he goes in the corner. Rusty Wallace still, the Penske team, Penske South team just can't quite figure out the Daytona Talladega situation.
He's already back to 41st, John Kernan.
He's going to have... It's a problem just like we're seeing up and down pit road. Rusty's car is very, very loose. They decided that they're going to have to just ride it out, hopefully get a caution and be able to pit, make some adjustments air pressure-wise to the car. But if they don't get a caution, we can expect pit stops probably around lap 50 to 52 is what I'm being told on pit road. Morgan Shepherd, on the other hand, has developed a really bad push. When they pit, they're going to raise the track bar and also work with the air pressure in the tires, make some changes there.
High temperature today expected around 93 degrees. The humidity is very high. The track is getting slick here in the early going of the Pepsi 400. 23 laps out of 160 have been completed. But it has not stopped the fans from turning out here today. They are here enjoying the Pepsi 400 from Daytona International Speedway. Back with more in just a moment. Back at Daytona International Speedway and ESPN Speed World presentation of the Pepsi 400 today. Sterling Martin is the leader. There's Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Bobby Labonte, and Robert Presley, the top five.
And Earnhardt just took over that third spot as we were coming back from break. And Robert Presley, can't say enough, he's doing a great job today in that car 33, the Skoll car.
Here's Jerry Punch.
Hey, you think the fans like the simulcast on ESPN and ESPN2? The crews love it. Take a look behind me. Here's Andy Petrie and the Earnhardt crew. Now, what they have is a television monitor here, and they're able to flip back and forth between ESPN Classic, which is our regular coverage. They can flip over to the ESPN2 coverage and watch the in-car camera of Dale Earnhardt to be able to see what the car is doing. The crews absolutely love having in-car footage on one channel and classic coverage on another. Right now, they're thinking about their strategy for the upcoming pit stop to try to derail that pushing problem that the 7-time Winston Cup champion might have. Bob?
So you utilize everything you possibly can. Dale Earnhardt doesn't carry an in-car camera very often, but in this particular case, it may be helping the crew ascertain what's wrong.
Watch this. He's pulling up on the outside of Jeff Gordon. Is there room? But Gordon comes up. There's not room right now, but Earnhardt seems that high groove is working for him. He seems to be going forward. Most of these teams have an RCA dish, one of those RCA small dishes in their pits where they're able to get the program from ESPN or whatever network is carrying it, and they can watch as we watch.
We're looking back now on Earnhardt from Jeff Gordon. From Dale Earnhardt, you see the distance between himself and Jeff Gordon in second, and the leader Sterling Marlin. And once again, Earnhardt heads for the high side of the racetrack.
He lost some time down in 3 and 4 the last time. There we see Mark Martin, Dick Trickle, and Ricky Rudd. 3 Fords hooked up trying to get to the front.
That's 14th, 15th, and 16th.
Martin Martin's car is not right. He was up in about 5th or 6th place earlier, but he's fallen back and struggling as we look back from his rear bumper towards Dick Trickle. I want to say hello to Marty Rump. She's probably watching today. Dick Trickle's PR lady. She was mugged here in town, and she's in the hospital. Marty, get well. See you soon.
Yeah, we wish you the best. Here's the telemetry showing us that he's going through the corner at about 185 miles an hour. Now down the straightaway, it jumps up to 193, 194.
6. 196 I saw 170. $6,900 we say maximum RPM. With the restrictor plates, they don't turn the RPMs like they do at the other racetracks without the restrictor. They'll turn 8,500, 9,000, but not here in Daytona with the restrictor plate.
Mark Martin and Lake Speed are side by side. Lake tries to pick up 13th position.
And Trickle looks like it's going to go up to the top of the racetrack and follow Lake Speed.
Joe Nemechek in the pits. Jerry, what's wrong?
Bob, on the second lap of the race, apparently they lost a cylinder in the Burger King Chevrolet, and the engine just became more and more sour as the laps progressed. They finally decided to come on to pit road. That is Mike Kennedy in the blue shirt. He's one of the guys working on the front of the car. He is the engine builder for Joe Nemechek on the plate track, and apparently they're trying to decipher exactly what the problem is. So right now, 7 cylinders, and he's losing a lot of valuable time here in the pits.
Joe Nemechek with his best finish of the year at Dover about a month ago, finishing in 10th, but things not going well on the Burger King car today. The hood is down, however, and Nemechek rolls back out onto the racetrack, where we find Marlin still holding off Gordon and Earnhardt. One other driver who has moved up well as we continue to watch the front of the field, Bill Elliott, started 43rd, now 18th.
And once again, Earnhardt right to the top of the racetrack. Sterling Marlin still, his car looks just as well as it did in February.
They're the top 5, and here is the interval back to Dale Jarrett and Kyle Petty.
And these two cars been able to break away from that pack just a little bit.
Jerry, what was the update on the Burger King car?
Well, fortunately, we get to give good news for a change. It was a spark plug problem. The spark plug was not firing, and Mike Kennedy found the spark plug, changed the plug, and now Nemechek has fired the engine and moved back on the racetrack on all 8 cylinders.
Unfortunately, he lost 4 laps during the repairs on pit road, so Nemechek has a long way to make up. Here's Kenny Schrader as he runs in 10th position.
We see Schrader's off. Oh, yeah, with Robert Presley trying to get by Bobby Labonte, take over that 4th spot. But he's not able to do it.
Decides to drop back behind Bobby, going into turn 3.
There's our leader, Sterling Marlin, the 4, the Kodak Film Chevrolet. Jeff Gordon, Chevrolet. First 5 cars, the new Chevrolet Monte Carlo. See Jeff Bodine, the Exide Battery Sport.
He's still on the move, Benny. He's up to 11th, I believe.
Jeff Bodine and his brother Brett came down a couple of weeks ago, spent 2 days here in Daytona testing, trying to figure out the mystery of this place with the restrictor plates. You see Jeff has moved to the top of the racetrack. Evidently, that's where he's making his momentum on top.
Michael Walter leading this group down the back stretch. Michael running in 9th spot. Bill Elliott as he goes to the inside of Greg Sachs, and Elliott is very impressive, Benny.
I talked to Bill, and he said that the car would draft very, very well. It just does not run very well by itself. And look out, Derek Cope, how high he was up there, but he got a good grip because he came off very well and pulled up on the outside of Sachs. Ooh, I guess he did pull up on the outside. And look, Bill Elliott trying to get by Ricky Rudd. He's passing the car every corner, every straightaway.
This is for 16th position. Don't forget, Elliott had to take a champion's provisional to get into the race. Started 43rd, dead last, but he has moved up very, very well and now sees Lake Speed just ahead.
Well, didn't someone tell me that he started like 38th at the Pepsi 400 he won 3 or 4 years ago?
Yep.
Uh-oh. Steve Grissom has made some contact. We see some damage to the right front of the Meineke muffler car. Yes. Part of the fender is gone.
He limps off of corner number 4 and has the car pointed toward pit road. So
my question is, where's the rest of the... Oh, there it is. I was worried about the rest of the fender, but it's still attached.
Just folded it back a little. Did he hit the wall or did he hit another car?
I would guess so. I don't know.
Meanwhile, looks like that Marlin and Gordon are pulling away from Earnhardt, Labonte, and Presley. Bill Weber, who's down in the 29 pit where Steve Grissom gets service.
Well, you can see it better from your side of the racetrack, Bob and Benny, but they're tearing away the sheet metal on the right front tire. They're trying to change that tire. Heavy damage to the right side of the Chevrolet Monte Carlo of Steve Grissom. They're going to obviously lose a lap. And this is going to disappoint them, no doubt, and they're going to be here for a little while.
And we can see the damage back to the right rear, so he did make contact with the concrete retaining wall.
They rip that piece of sheet metal off and tear it aside, hoping to get Steve back out there as quickly as possible. 3rd, 4th, and 5th become very close.
It's the back bumper on the Interstate Battery Chevrolet, driven by...
His spotter telling Bobby Labonte where the best place to run on the track is. Marlin still leads Labonte 4th in the Pepsi 400. reached the 40th lap, but we are under our first caution. There is debris and oil in turns 3 and 4, causing the pace car to come out. Jerry?
Unfortunately, it's the car number 28. Remember, I told you how they had to piece 2 motors together this morning to be able to get an engine to race, and Dale was making a move, and now he's behind the wall. Unfortunately, Dale, I didn't want to talk this early to you, but it's an early evening. What happened?
Yeah, something happened to the engine. Well, the thing was really running. It was a little loose at the beginning, but once things got sorted out, if I could have just had a little help. Kyle was trying, we just couldn't do it. But, you know, this wasn't our day again. This Texaco Haviland Mack Tools Ford was going pretty good, and I'd like to have got up there and raced those Chevys just to see what we could do with them. I think that we had something for them. Larry, wish you the best, and we'll see you soon, buddy.
Talking about Larry McReynolds home, going to his mother's funeral. And we told you they had tried to put together 2 motors today to get this car in the race, and Dale was coming in a hurry, but it came up early as the engine has gone away. And that's the reason for the caution flag, as pit stops will now be the order of the day on pit road. The leaders, we expect to see some mild adjustments on the car number 4 and 24. They pit nose to tail down here in turn 1. Sterling Marlin had a bit of a push, and we're going to make an air pressure adjustment, and Ken Schrader nearly slides by his pits. His car slid by, and now there's almost a trouble as one crew member nearly gets run over in the Schrader pits. Meanwhile, they have changed right side tires. As you're watching the 4, 24, and 3 on the triple split pit stop, Earnhardt is down and away, 19.5, 18.6 for Gordon, and 18.6 for Marlin as they drag race back to turn 1 in that order. It'll be Marlin, Gordon, and Earnhardt.
Boy, a lot of activity as cars scramble out of the pits trying to get track position for the restart. That was a close moment down there when Ken Schrader overshot his pit, and then Lake Speed came in through Schrader's pit. And there is Kenny. They finally got the work done on the Bud Chevrolet, but definitely came in too hot and locked them up.
Man, I tell you, he started work 26th. Well, he's probably going to be worse than that when this gets all over and said and done with. Tough, Rick. He was running in 8th spot. Uh-oh, Terry Labonte, the Kellogg's Cornflakes Chevrolet, under the hood of that car. They're changing springs or shocks or something.
Trying to get the handling on that car to improve a little bit. Bill Weber is on the way. And Bill, are you there?
I'm on my way right now, but I did talk to Gary Dehart just a few moments ago. They were concerned they were going to have to stop under green. Terry's been reporting since the beginning of the race. His car's been extremely loose. Gary said our times are fast, but we can't make any moves on the track. If the race had stayed under green and he had to pit under green, he would have had to do just very minor work. Instead, they brought it in, did some extra work. We'll find out what it is, but Terry's on his way back out on the track. Let's go on down pit road.
Down pit road. They did not pit last time by. They wanted to wait until pit road was clear because they have to change all 4 shocks. This time in, that's exactly what they'll do. Also, Robin Pemberton's making a track bar adjustment. They go to work in the front, the whole crew trying to change 4 shocks. They would not have done this were it not for the caution. In fact, Robin Pemberton was one of the first people to point it out to the NASCAR officials that there was oil in turns 3 and 4 whenever he was told that by Rusty on the radio, and that brought out the caution. So it's a big break for this crew to change 4 shocks. The car's been so loose that Rusty has hardly been able to keep it out there on the track.
Well, Rusty Wallace has not had good luck here at Daytona, and they're trying to get the handling on this car improved so that he can move it up. Now, here is the problem that Ken Schrader experienced. He simply overshot his pit, and as he backed up, watch to the left.
Yeah, the guy almost was run over by Lake Speed. The Spam car made his pit stop. So, and this is Schrader from inside his car, camera looking straight at Kenny Schrader.
So we're under caution now because of some debris on the racetrack. 41 laps out of 160 have been completed here at Daytona International Speedway in the Pepsi 400. We're glad you could join us, and we'll be back with more in a moment. Well, the Extreme Games are coming to a close. Over 350 of the world's greatest athletes have been participating in the week-long competition, ranging from sports biking, bungee jumping, sky surfing, street luge racing. It's all next after our race here on ESPN. Rusty Wallace is back in the pit area, Benny, and John Kernan is there.
Bob, they only changed the front 2 shocks the last time in. Went back out. They have not lost a lap. They're still on the lead lap. It'll be a 4-tire change for Rusty Wallace. And also down here pitting a couple of stalls away from Rusty, Robert Presley, who's been running very, very impressively here today. A problem with the air gun on the left rear on Rusty's crew, and they finally get the lug nuts tightened and Rusty's down and away. But with Robert Presley, they thought they might have left some lug nuts loose on the left rear, so Robert had to come back in and they had to tighten it just to be sure. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
And we're standing here with Gary Dehart. He's got his finger literally on the button, ready to talk to his driver. They're anxiously waiting for the green flag to come out. He wants to get this back started before we get a word with him. So let's send it back up top. They did put a rubber in the right front of the Kellogg Chevrolet, and the green is out. And after they go by, we'll talk with Gary. Gary, you made a lengthy stop. You got what you wanted. You needed the caution to make some changes.
Yeah, we had to make some changes. We were just too loose. Everybody's loose out there, it seems to be, but I figured early in the race like this, if we'll make the changes now, it won't hurt us too bad. It's almost got us last, but the race is still young. We got a long way to go.
And you have a good car despite not a real good qualifying run.
Yeah, we ran good in practice, but I don't know what happened in qualifying. Just something, I don't know, fluke thing.
That's Gary Dehart. He did tell his driver, we need track position, and they're pretty desperate for that right now. Terry did say he was 40 degrees too loose, so they put in that right front, and he's the one that told Gary that everybody's all over the place out there.
Labonte dropped back to 34th for the restart, and positions beginning to change now. That's Joe Nemechek on the bottom side of the racetrack. He is not on the lead lap, but everybody else on the outside of him is, and they battle for position.
You see Bill Elliott in the McDonald's Ford, continuing on his way forwards. And Jerry Punch touched on just a moment ago. And Larry McReynolds, if you're still watching, you might not be after the 28 had his problem, but Larry, we all are thinking about you. Larry is up in Alabama, death of his mother, and all of us here are thinking about you, buddy.
And as Dave Despade mentioned during the NASCAR Today show, we lost one of our own yesterday as Mark Leckel, who was a very talented cameraman, producer, director, who could do everything, and he did it well. Was killed in an off-road race yesterday while shooting that event. And look at Loy Allen. He's still up by the wall, Benny.
Even with the fresh tires, he's up there. And I tell you what, I told the crew yesterday, if they did bad, I was going to talk about them. They did great. They went in the pits running 11th and came out 5th. So the Loy Allen pit crew, you guys did good.
This is the battle for 7th between Loy Allen on the high side of the racetrack and Mark Martin.
We'll see if Mark, the Steve Meal and the crew, was able to fix his problems during those pit stops. Passed by Loy Allen.
Jeff Bodine also in this battle. There's Dick Trickle. Greg Sachs in the 27 today.
Jeff Burton back in the 8 car, the Rebestas Ford. Wants to hello to his wife Kim back in South Boston, expecting their first child any minute. Loy Allen able to pull away from Jeff Bodine.
Ted Musgrave at the end of this pack trying to find his way clear to pick up a spot. We watch his telemetry through the corner, keeping it about 187 and 63, 64, 6,500 RPM.
Now realize, folks, it doesn't look like this car is running 195 miles an hour, but trust me, it is. Watch it as it just stays on 195.
Yeah, got her maxed out. Hit the brake just a little bit going into the corner, BP.
Just to make the car turn. They want to use that brake to make the car quit pushing. Loy Allen extremely high that time as cars are bypassing him. I imagine that Loy Allen had to get out of the throttle. He was so high that time. Yep. And when you back out of the throttle at Daytona, Talladega, the line just goes by.
And look at them passing. Ted Musgrave has gotten by. Now to his left is Todd Bodine. But Loy still hangs it up on the wall. That's Cope. John Andretti passed by going down the backstretch.
Musgrave still trying to get by Lake Speed. The Spam car pulls up. Just seeing him back off the throttle. He used the brakes to slow down a little bit without backing off the throttle. As I said, when you back off that throttle, you lose so much momentum. Let's see. Touch the brakes, never backing off the throttle.
Speeds range from about 187 through the corners to 199 down the straightaways. And we have Bobby Labonte in the pits. Labonte making an unscheduled pit stop at lap 48. Uh-oh. Oh, this doesn't look good.
Clear. They slowly raise the hood, so obviously an engine problem in the 28 car. 18 car, I'm sorry.
Labonte had moved to 6th in NASCAR Winston Cup points. Just 121 behind, make that 222 behind the leader. But certainly a much better year than last year. At this time last year, Bobby Labonte was 866 points out of the lead, and now this year, 222. He unbuckles and takes off the helmet. Jerry Punch is right there.
Well, unfortunately, it's part of running on restrictor plate racetracks, and here at Daytona in July with the heat, they have burned a piston in the Interstate Battery Chevrolet. The engine was not running when they brought the car down pit road, as Jeff Gordon just made his move on the racetrack, so action getting hot and heavy, but Bobby Labonte will not be a part of it as they push his car behind the wall.
The third leader of the day, Dale Earnhardt led, then Sterling Marlin, and now Jeff Gordon has passed Sterling to take over the top spot. Kyle Petty running in 4th position.
If Sterling Marlin is able to get back by. Sterling Marlin has a problem. His car evidently is pushed a little bit right now as we see Earnhardt close up on him and Jeff Gordon drop away in the corner. It looks like that Kodak Film Chevrolet has picked up a push.
Dale Earnhardt looks to the inside going down the backstretch, and Kyle Petty falls in right behind Dale to see what he's going to do. Neither of them make a move on Marlin. Look at the difference in lines being run here today. Petty's left wheels right down on that white line, while Loy Allen and others have been way up top.
Seems as though anytime that Kyle Petty is able to run that left front tire on the white line on the bottom of the racetrack, he's able to run well. He did that same thing at Dover just about a month ago and won the race up there. Uh-oh, there he goes up, and he'll lose some distance as he goes up the hill. Now Sterling Marlin is able to keep the car on the bottom and keep up with Jeff Gordon.
About 3-4 car lengths behind Jeff, who was leading his 14th race in 1995. Of course, he has 2 victories. He's got 3 victories.
We're told that the 9 car has a hood that maybe one of the hood pins is falling out because the hood was moving around, flapping in the breeze. As he goes by, tries to go by Greg Sachs.
Ed Musgrave will fall in behind late.
We can see the nose of the, I don't know if that's a reflection of the sun hitting the nose of that hood or if in fact it's flapping.
Jerry Punch is with Bobby Labonte.
And he still sits inside the race car. Bobby, you had a great one going out there today, but it all went away.
Yeah, I tell you what, the Interstate Battery Chevrolet was running pretty good. You know, we worked on it a little bit on that pit stop, and it seemed like it was going to be a little bit better, but the motor gave up on us. I guess it burned a piston, and that happens after a restart, you know, a lot of times. So that was our first one of the year, you know, we can't complain about it. We're just going to go on to loud now.
Marlin was awful tough in February, and Gordon. Are they as strong now comparatively as they were back in early part of the year?
Yeah, they are, but I tell you, the Pontiacs are really fast right now. I mean, they got all the packages they need to go good, so they should be doing good here today.
Bobby Labonte, 6th in the point standings. He'll drop down because of a DNF, unfortunately, here in the Pepsi 400.
Pontiacs are running well. They're 4th and 5th with Kyle and Michael.
And I tell you what, we just about had a crash with John Andretti and Hut Strickland. They made contact as they came off the trowel, and Hut Strickland did a fantastic job in that Quaker State car to maintain control.
Bobby Labonte said he'd burn a piston because it happens after a restart. Why then is the engine susceptible?
Because shifting gears, when they shift from 3rd to 4th or 2nd to 3rd, that pause in there where the engine lugs just a little bit as it drops in RPM. If it lugs, it pre-ignites one time or spark knocks one time, you've got a burn piston.
Here's what Benny was talking about.
What?
Oh, man, Strickland with a nice job of saving that car.
I'm telling you, look at all those guys back there. They'll all congratulate him on being a great race car driver.
Man, that was outstanding. Jeff Bodine continues to move up. He's all the way to 7th position. Jeff Bodine. Jeff Gordon is the leader over Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt, and Kyle Petty. Sterling Marlin has retaken the lead of the Pepsi 400 here at Daytona International Speedway, putting Jeff Gordon back to 2nd.
Got in 1 and 2. He pulled up behind Jeff Gordon, got that DuPont Chevy a little bit loose, and as Jeff, I'll watch. We have a replay of this as Sterling Marlin goes down in turn 1. Well, we're coming off the
second corner.
He's already done that, but he pulled up behind him, and as Jeff Gordon got the car a little loose, he went up the racetrack to catch the back end, and when he did that, Sterling Marlin took the lead, and we can see that they put a little distance on Earnhardt and Kyle Petty.
Dale Earnhardt and Kyle Petty running 3rd and 4th. Michael Waltrip in 5th position in another Pontiac.
We'll see Michael and Jeff Bodine, Mark Martin, and Bill Elliott. Has the Mickey D's car up in 8th spot now.
Boy, Elliott just with a fine performance. When he won here in '88, as we mentioned earlier, he won from 38th position, a modern era record.
Here's the top 15. Sterling, Gordon, Earnhardt, Kyle Petty, Michael Waltrip, Bodine, Martin, and Bill Elliott. We talked about them. Dick Trickle in 9th, Lake Speed, Ted Musgrave, Todd Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Schrader all the way back up to 14th after starting almost near the end, and Derek Holt, who started back in 37th, is up in 15th.
A little bit of telemetry on Mark's car.
Putting back off the gas just a tick to get the car to turn.
And Kyle Petty makes a move on Dale Earnhardt for 3rd spot off the 4th corner through the tri-oval, and Kyle Petty has moved to 3rd. Was he flying around the world, Benny? Kyle is?
Kyle is going to, sometime in August, going to jump on a Concorde, one of those supersonic jets in New York, and fly around the world to try to set a record or something. I don't know. Hey, and look, Michael Waltrip trying to get by Earnhardt.
And here comes Jeff Bodine.
I tell you what, you open the door, all the horses get out in this deal. He's going to lose 4 spots.
Mark Martin and Bill Elliott also catch up to him.
Okay, Michael, just because you went down there by yourself, your penalty is you're going to the back of the line.
That's right. And once again, Earnhardt is way up high.
It looks like that with the new tires, Earnhardt is able to run for just a few laps, and then his car starts going up the racetrack.
So Jeff Bodine has now taken over 4th spot. Jeff Bodine 4th. Earnhardt 5th. And this man, Bill Elliott, Mark Martin, is 6th.
And watch Earnhardt go right to the top of the racetrack. He's going to lose some more spots to Mark Martin and Bill Elliott. Martin comes up, takes a spot. Here comes Elliott. And Elliott with that momentum. And look at Mark Martin move over to let Bill Elliott stay with him, because he knows that Bill Elliott will run with him and help him more than Earnhardt will, because it's a Ford.
Boy, it's been a long time since we saw Bill Elliott run this good. Good to see.
Struggling through the corners.
Every time he comes to a corner, he loses a couple of more spots.
We'll go inside with Earnhardt and watch as he goes down in the corner. He said, well, if he's that bad, he should be fighting the wheel more. These cars, these mechanics work on these cars so you don't have to fight that wheel. Every time you turn that steering wheel, you're slowing the car down. And we see Michael Waltrip and Dick Trickle trying to hook up and go by Earnhardt. And they probably will in the corner.
They didn't successfully pass him in the 1st and 2nd corners, but now they've hooked up in the draft down the back stretch and through turn number 3, and both of them passed Dale.
Yeah, Earnhardt is struggling so bad in the corners. But folks, don't count Earnhardt out. I'm not saying that he's not going to win his race, because he is a master at saving that car. And Childers, Andy Feature, the crew, they are just terrific at being able to adjust the car and give Earnhardt what he wants. Jerry Punch?
And Benny, a lesser driver may have already lost that race car in most of the afternoon. Earnhardt has a loose race car. Remember, he had a bit of a push prior to that pit stop, and the crew made an air pressure adjustment in the right front tire. Now, apparently, that was a very minimal adjustment, about a pound or pound and a half at most. But right now, Earnhardt's car is extremely loose, going in the corner as well as coming off.
And he continues to lose spots. Here's Ted Musgrave, who looks to the inside of Dale Earnhardt.
We can hear the engine in Musgrave's car as they run wide open.
Dale has fallen all the way back to 9th spot. Musgrave is 10th. And for you Rusty Wallace fans, trouble continues for him. He has lost a lap, running in 38th position.
Watch as Earnhardt goes up the hill and Musgrave will go by. You know, all the drivers that we interviewed on NASCAR today, just before the start of this show, talked about the driver that wins will be the driver that can stay on the gas the longest, not having to back off the throttle in. And Earnhardt now is not able to do that, stay on the gas as much as some of these other guys.
Earnhardt, a two-time champion of this race in 90 and 93.
He hated to do that. Earnhardt hated to move down and follow Musgrave. He needs to draft, but he hated to go down there with a loose race car. He wants to go to the top. Hope and Hut Strickland in the 26 car. And hasn't Hut Strickland done a magnificent job with Richard Broom and that crew in the Quaker State car?
He really has. After replacing Steve Kinzer in that car, Hut Strickland has given it very good performances. Strickland's best finish of the year was a 4th at Dover.
Ooh, man, who was that moving around? I guess that was Jeff Purvis back there at the very end of that thing. Came off the corner and moved around like he said, I got me a bucking bronc, and I don't know which way he's going.
Strickland running in 15th spot.
Jeff Burton comes up on the outside of Todd Bodine trying to take that spot away. There's John Andretti in the Kmart car. And Little Caesars, I got to get that plug in for the pizza place.
Don't want to make those people that make food unhappy.
No, not at all. And Greg Sachs in the Hooters car. And there's Robert Presley after having to make that unscheduled pit stop on the caution flag, trying to fight his way back to the front.
Yeah, that's just a perfect example of what making an unscheduled stop, losing track position can do. He's mired back in 21st.
Daytona Talladega anymore, track position is as important as Bristol or Martinsville or any of the racetracks.
Yep.
There we see that Strickland and Musgrave has been able to get by Michael Waltrip.
Jerry has an update on Dale Earnhardt.
Let me explain a moment ago when we were talking about why the car got loose. You know, they told you they made an air pressure adjustment on the 3 car. That probably wasn't the major factor. But what the crew did is they pulled out on the front fenders, on the left front and right front fender when they changed the tires a moment ago under caution. They pulled those fenders out. That means the front of the car catches more air, which makes the front of the car push down or plow and picks up on the rear of the car, thus making it very, very loose. So listen, we have some passes going on the racetrack, but Earnhardt and his crew are certainly hoping for a yellow flag very soon.
And that pass was Mark Martin's move past Jeff Bodine to 4th place.
Now we see Rusty Wallace, you mentioned just a moment ago. He's now out there.
Here's the AutoZone interval leaderboard showing you that Jeff Gordon just 0.22 of a second behind Sterling Marlin, and the separation from 1st to 5th. Almost 3.5.
And Mark Martin. Something wrong with Mark Martin's car. The Valvoline board off the pace down in 1.
There goes Rusty Wallace. Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon takes the lead from Sterling Marlin.
Why does everything have to happen at the same time?
Let's see what's wrong with Mark Martin. The car just suddenly seized up, it looked like, going through the corner.
Jeff Gordon, once again, is leading this race, the DuPont Chevrolet.
The winner at Rockingham, Atlanta, and Bristol, looking for his first victory here at Daytona, has now taken the lead once again from Sterling Marlin.
The CEO of Kodak, the Kodak company, is here today, watching Mr. Fisher. So Sterling Marlin, better get back up front.
We're glad you could join us on this 4th of July holiday weekend at Daytona International Speedway. Back at Daytona, and our coverage of auto racing continues at 7:50 tomorrow morning. You'll be up at that time, BP, to
Certainly.
see the Grand Prix of France.
Sure will.
From Magna Cours.
Probably on the road. Probably on the road back to North Carolina, but I'll be up.
Well, I'll be watching the race, and you can too, at 7:50 tomorrow morning.
Jimmy Spencer, the Smoking Joe car. Where is he? We don't see him there, but he started at the very back of the pack, and he is now up to 19th, and he is really moving forward. Jeff Gordon, the leader of the race. There we see Spencer.
Yep.
It was the leader of the race we saw just a moment ago, looking back at the second place car. There we see Spencer closing up on the back of Craig Sachs, trying to take another spot away. He's going inside, outside. Now he's on top of the racetrack 2 laps ago. I saw him pass 3 cars on the bottom of the racetrack as Jeff Purvis tries to follow him through. Now he dives to the inside.
Right here on the tri-oval at the start-finish line.
23 car has a Jack Roush engine in it. And by the way, folks, Martin did not blow up. He did not. He's still on the racetrack and going around the racetrack.
Apparently the car shut off, and he had the presence of mind to reach up and switch to the alternate ignition, and it fired the car, and he dropped back to, what, 11th spot.
And there's Earnhardt. Earnhardt's is falling all the way back to about 11th or 12th now.
Now Mark continues to come back up. Earnhardt's car hasn't shut off. It just can't get around the corners.
It's just having some trouble. As Jerry Punch reported, the car is loose in the corner. And Mark, the Valvoline Ford, going back towards the front. Bypasses Michael Waltrip from the Pennzoil Pontiac, and there he has Lake Speed, the Spam car, directly in front.
8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th here. And Bill Elliott has passed Jeff Bodine to take over 4th. Wow, how about that?
And started 43rd.
John Kernan has an update on Bodine.
Bob, even though they didn't qualify in the top 20, Jeff Bodine, Paul Andrews, Danny Glad, and the crew down here thought that they would have a pretty good race today. They knew they had a good race car. This is the same one that finished 7th at Talladega earlier this year. But the problem they've been finding, just like everybody else, car gets a little bit loose as the tire wear increases. They were about 27, 28 laps on this set of tires. Jeff has radioed in and told Paul Andrews that the car continues to get loose.
Bodine now is in front of Bill Elliott, or I should say behind Bill Elliott. Elliott has told his crew, and this is something you don't hear very often, or you haven't recently, the car is perfect.
Maybe it's perfect. If it is, then yes. I was wondering what's going to happen when Elliott gets up with the 24 and the 4. If it's perfect, he will be able to race for them, because I don't think there's anybody around here that can say perfect. He did say it.
Michael Waltrip way down low on the racetrack. That's Lake Speed beside him.
And look at Earnhardt. Lake Speed had to get off the throttle as he came off the corner, and Hutch Strickland is moving up and challenging Lake Speed. Once again, Hutton doing a fantastic job in the Quaker State car. We'll have oil cans battling here in just a second. The Quaker State. Hey, Bill Elliott moves into 3rd.
How about that? He has passed Kyle Petty, and Elliott now is 3rd behind Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin, and he is running the same lap speeds, Benny, as the leader.
And he's doing it basically by himself, where the leaders are really hooked up. Now, if he can get somebody to close up like Kyle Petty and help him, there we see those 2 cars, the leader, Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin.
A lot of racetrack between Bill Elliott and the top 2. Here's Bill Weber with more on this great run by Bill Elliott.
Well, they're all smiles down here. One of the crew members just walked by and said, hey, we've been here before. This is the same car this team had for the Daytona 500 and at Talladega, but after that race, they cut the body off. They put new skin on it. Bill's getting good help from his spotter, who just told him, good job, go get him. It's all smiles down here. Crew chief Tony Gibson calling the shots, and he's also the gas man today, because their normal gas man came up sick. But it's really nice to be down in this pit and see these guys really happy. They worked really hard all year to get to this point.
An unbelievable statistic is that Bill Elliott has not led a lap all year. Hutch Strickland and Dale Earnhardt battle on the racetrack behind Michael Waltrip.
See Earnhardt right up on top of the racetrack. We saw the Michael Waltrip and Hutch Strickland cars down on the bottom of the racetrack. And with a loose or pushing race car, you don't want to go down there. You don't want to be that far away from the wall just in case anything should happen.
Now watch when Earnhardt hits the turn. He'll stay up high.
And we listened as Earnhardt backed off the gas just a little bit to get the car in the corner. Now he's closing up, trying to go by Hutch Strickland.
Hutch going to drop in behind Earnhardt. Yeah, makes a move to the inside of Hutt and takes the spot.
Great Arrow main and tail car.
Had a lot of momentum build up there in the backstretch.
Another car started 37th in this 12 car.
The 19 car of Greg Sachs is in the pits.
Loy Allen. Come here, you, Bob.
Well,
the health source car.
It's the heat. It's got me. Loy Allen brings it in. Loy had run so well here. We are near the halfway point. In fact, in a lap and a half, we will be at the halfway point as Robert Presley now continues to pick off the cars. He lost, of course, a lot of track position in the unscheduled pit stop earlier.
Robert Presley and Brad Daugherty, you know, the center for the Cleveland Cavaliers. He started a sportsman team, a Busch Grand National team, the 59 team several years ago. Robert Presley was his driver. And I'm sad to say today, is supposedly the 59 car. Dennis Setzer's driving the car now, will be his final race in the Busch Grand National Series. And I asked Brad Daugherty what he thought, and he almost cried.
I bet. Yep. It's too bad that that team has to fold. Maybe they can find some sponsorship money and keep going.
Look at the little smiley face there on Mr. Earnhardt's car. And we see he's lost several more spots. Earnhardt struggling, but he's hanging in there as best he can.
Coming up on halfway, here come the leaders. Off of corner number 4, here's the line. There's halfway. 80 laps have been completed. Now look at this. The interval between Gordon and Elliott. Looks like that Jeff is pulling away. He was 5.8 seconds behind at the lap 75, and by the 79th lap, he had increased that to over 7 seconds.
No, that's not 7 seconds, Bob. Do you believe everything you read?
If it's up there on the screen, absolutely.
That's about 2 car lengths, 3 car lengths. That's all that is.
Well, now that was between first and third.
Oh, first and third.
Oh, see, now you're the one that's not paying attention.
I was watching this, and I'm sorry. I apologize. I was not paying attention. You're right.
See, it's Gordon and Elliott. 5.8 to 7.2.
I apologize to everyone involved. Good job, guys.
See?
Let me see. Okay, Elliott's running 40. Yep, we'll see. Jeff Gordon is pulling away. He's pulled away. 1.5 seconds. Good job.
How about that? Jerry, help us out here. Say something.
I wouldn't dare get in that battle between you two guys with the calculators. Who brought the batteries for the calculators? Hey, you talk about a sense of humor. I just spoke with Ray Abraham, who's the crew chief for Jeff Gordon. He said, you know, when our car is behind the 4 car, we're extremely tight. When we're in front of the 4 car, we're very, very loose. Now, the solution would be if we were to run side by side with the 4 car, the car would be perfect. But then again, we'd be awfully slow on the racetrack. And we know that car number 94 is coming in a hurry.
Yeah, I don't think they want to run side by side. There is the on-track interval between first, second, and third, fourth, fifth, and so on. Still quite a bit of racetrack between Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin. Back to Bill Elliott, who is running third. Then Kyle Petty and Jeff Bodine. We have already completed more than half of this race. Only one caution, that was for debris. Jeff Gordon leads the Pepsi 400. Jeff Gordon leads this race. We're looking back from his car to second place Sterling Marlin. And Dick Trickle and Jeff Bodine are involved in the battle for 5th spot. And several others are too.
Several other cars. We see Loy Allen back there. He is a lap down in the 19 car, but there's Musgrave trying to get by Jeff Bodine as Trickle does make that move.
Mark Martin is behind all of this battling.
As we see, Musgrave is Caught on the low side. Now Mark should go down and help his teammate out. Come on, Mark, turn left. Come on, Mark. He did turn left.
John Kernan has a comment on Ted Musgrave running 7th at the moment.
Just talked to Howard Comstock, his crew chief, asking about pit strategy. We're expecting pit stops around lap 92 to lap 95. And Howard said the car has been really good on fresh tires, but after about 20 laps, the way Ted describes it, it's not really that it gets loose, but it's more like a four-wheel slide around this racetrack. So they got quite a handful. They'll make some adjustments on their next stop.
All right, and we'll look for those in about 10 laps or so. Oh, Earnhardt now is on the bottom of the racetrack, and Michael Waltrip is up high.
Well, Michael Waltrip, evidently right now, his car is as bad as Earnhardt. So Earnhardt said, you're holding me up, and I've got to go by as we see Kenny Schrader, the Budweiser Chevrolet, pull up on the outside of Michael Waltrip, trying to get by him.
12th, 13th, and 14th here. Kenny Schrader running in 14th spot.
Like Schrader's car is handling pretty doggone well as he pulls down to the inside, but can't quite make it, so he pulls back up, and he and Michael Waltrip will draft down the straightaway, and when they get to the next corner, Schrader will come down and try to get by Michael Waltrip. Meanwhile, now Mark Martin is pulled down, trying to help his teammate out and himself and go by Jeff Bodine and take that spot away. As Musgrave does, see, Musgrave stays down there and helps his teammate to go by Jeff Bodine. Loy Allen follows as well.
Allen isn't on the lead lap. He is 2 laps down in 38.
You see Bill Elliott right at the very top of the screen, very, very high. He's been running on the bottom. Source. Sponsor on Loy Allen's car out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Uh-oh.
Jeff Gordon, who has put some distance between himself and Marlin.
He is.
There are distinctive sounds, different sounds with these cars. You'll hear a more traditional sound with the 24. Now the 4.
Sounds like an Indy car.
It does. It has a very high-pitched whine to it, the 4 car does.
He has a different exhaust system on this car than does all the other cars here. The only car with that distinct sound.
But hey, it works.
It works.
Waltrip, Schrader,
Rudd, Cope. Now we see that Michael Waltrip goes up, Schrader moves down. Now he will move up in front of Michael Waltrip, but meanwhile Rudd and Derek Cope are drafted. Now they will try to get by. Uh-oh, the lead pole Derek hung up on the inside.
We are on record pace, Benny. 173.4 is the record that was set by Bobby Allison in 1980. We're just a little bit above that, 173.5. Only one time have we been slowed for a caution. That was because of debris and oil on the racetrack. We understand that Bill Elliott will relinquish his 3rd position to make a pit stop shortly.
Well, Bill Elliott's car, as I said a moment ago, he has moved up to the top of the racetrack. He has lost a little bit of the handle. He said perfect. That was 20 laps ago. Right now, he will not use the word perfect in describing his car.
Derek Cope to the inside of Michael Waltrip, taking over 14th spot.
Neither would Michael Waltrip. And here comes Bill Elliott to make a pit stop. And look behind him. We've got all the cars coming with him. Kyle.
Here's Bill Weber.
The McDonald's Ford is here. They had this arranged. They had some dancing partners to come in. 4 tires and fuel. Bill Elliott has been running the same time as the race leaders. He does not have a top 5 finish so far this year. 4 tires are in, and Tony gets to putting the fuel in. Let's go down to John Kernan with Ted Musgrave.
Right side tires already on for Musgrave. They got the jack on the left side. Left side's going on. Also left side's going on Jeff Bodine. There go the air guns. Left hand side. The gasoline is full. Ted Musgrave is down and away, but Elliott beats him out. And then there goes Bodine.
Kyle Petty is going to be the first off pit road. Then Elliott. Then Trickle, Musgrave, Jeff Bodine, and Greg Sachs.
Mark Martin comes in. So does Jimmy Spencer and Hut Strickland. And Jerry Punch, Mark is headed toward you.
The same car that won at Talladega in the Winston Select 500 comes to a halt on pit road, and they will change right and left side tires. Pit road becoming a very, very busy place, and they will bump a little bit on the spoiler before they leave, trying to be able to tighten up the race car a little bit. Right side tires already haven't gone on, left side going on. The car is full of fuel. Steve Mill, left front lug nuts all tight. Mill says go, 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 as he falls down 18.9, and Mark Martin is down and away.
Now is a critical time as they leave the pits. Once again, we're talking about shifting gear. Listen, as we hear him shift. Right there was a critical time. If you can get over that one period, your engine should be okay. But that's where you burn the piston.
Dale Earnhardt is coming in. So is Robert Presley as we watch Mark Martin build back up on the RPMs and the speed. Earnhardt is in. John Kernan.
It'll be a 4-tire change in fuel for Dale Earnhardt. Also, they push in, you see the crewman pushing in on the front fenders to tighten the car up. Remember, Jerry Punch told you they pulled them out last time, makes the nose push down, and now there's a problem with the air wrench. Andy Petrie has to come over as the leader's coming around. Petrie now on the left side. The air gun had broken, and Andy had to come across the wall and get one. Earnhardt, a very long pit stop, and now he's down and away. 26 even, Jerry Punch.
And here are the lead two cars in the pits. We will expect to see a 4-tire change on both cars. You can see both cars pitting nose to tail. Sterling Marlin's Kodak Chevy, and in front of him, behind him is the DuPont Chevrolet Monte Carlo of Jeff Gordon. They will push up on the rear spoiler on Gordon, try to correct a problem with the car being a little bit too loose. As he is going down and away, left side tire is going on the Kodak Chevrolet, and he will exit. Now here's the Budweiser Chevrolet. What a run Kenny Schrader had. Remember the problem he had earlier on the first pit stop of sliding by his pits? Not the problem now. They bumped the rear spoiler. A lot of drivers complaining their cars are getting very loose in traffic. As we saw, they bumped that rear spoiler on the Budweiser Chevrolet. Right side tires going on. They also make a chassis adjustment in the right rear. Now left side tires are on, and the Budweiser Chevy is down and away in a little under 2 seconds.
20.1 seconds. Here comes Morgan Shepherd, Michael Waltrip, Terry Labonte out in front of Ken Schrader.
Great pit stop by the Sitco crew. Eddie and Lynn Wood. Now watch this. I want you to watch the 4 and 24 coming in. Jeff Gordon comes in. He will stop first. The 4 car will go. Now watch the DuPont crewman run and follow the 4 car. Watch that guy. What's he doing? He just stands there and watches these guys pit.
It looks like
he grabs the right rear tire off the 4 car so it doesn't block the 24 in.
Very good.
Man, I thought he was part of the pit crew.
Now, there is a space there between those 2 cars, but still, if there was a tire there, it would definitely delay Jeff getting out.
Exactly. He was afraid he'd roll that tire in front of the 24 car.
Now, Schrader did not overshoot his pit, but he sure had to climb on the brakes again. And a black flag for the 21, Bill. How come?
Too fast down pit road, 4,100 RPMs. Morgan Shepherd with a speeding ticket comes in, stop and go, he's on his way. He was the dancing partner for Terry Labonte. Terry said, I'm not coming in alone, find me somebody that's gonna pit with me. That person was Morgan Shepherd. Great pit stops by both teams, but Morgan too fast off pit road, extremely costly here today.
Well, you can have a good pit stop, but then you get penalized for going too fast on pit road.
Sorry about that, guys.
There's the 10 car of Ricky Rudd, and it is the leader of the Pepsi 400 at the conclusion of 96 laps. Back with more at the Daytona International Speedway in just a moment. Stay with us. The Pepsi 400 from Daytona International Speedway, being brought to you by the more than 1,000 AutoZone stores across America. AutoZone, the best parts in auto parts. By McDonald's, have you had your break today? And by Firestone, America's tire since 1900. Here's Dr. Jerry Punch.
Guys, if you watch the Ricky Rudd crew work on the Tide Ford Thunderbird, which was being shown as our leader, remember 2 years ago at Daytona in the 500, Sterling Marlin went 57 laps, ended up winning the race. Well, we're going to roll the dice in the Tide pit. Billy Engel told me this will be the final scheduled stop for Ricky Rudd. He said we are getting outstanding fuel mileage. Now, folks, that means if you got a calculator, they're going to have to run 63 laps on fuel. They're going to have to hope for some caution flag, but they do not plan to come back in. And if they don't, they'll win.
How about that?
Hey, Rusty Wallace at Talladega, remember the Winston Select 500? He was planning on running something like 70 laps. As a matter of fact, he did run 66 laps. So I think Ricky Rudd can do it.
We shall see. We're riding with Jeff Gordon, who has picked up the lead once again with Rudd's pit stop. Sterling Marlin is second, then Mark Martin, Dick Trickle, Ted Musgrave, Bill Elliott, Jeff Bodine, Kyle Petty, and Hunt Strickland, the top 10. Jeff Gordon has won more money than anyone else in 1995, already over $1 million, and he has led more laps than anyone else. And of course, 7 pole positions. Well, he's running by himself, so we'll go back and try to find some action.
Well, let's see. Where's the second place car? There he is. Sterling Marlin, the second place car. Well, he's got no one around with him. Let's go back and see if we can find a race back here. There's Ricky Craven. He goes by. Ricky Craven, like I said.
Okay.
Here comes.
There's Mark.
There's Mark.
How about that? Yeah.
And Dick Trickle and Ted Musgrave. So
there's our battle.
Let's hang around here and see what happens. Meanwhile, Bill Elliott right behind this group is falling back from this group. So obviously, Elliott, something not quite right with the McDonald's Ford after the last pit stop.
Not perfect like it was earlier.
Exactly. He will not use the word perfect again. Well, right now he wouldn't use that word. About 97,
6,800 RPM.
As he closes up right on the back bumper of Dick Trickle. Trickle having a very good day in the quality care Ford.
Sure is.
Of Dick Trickle is Mark Martin as he goes by Chuck Bound in the Finalube Chevrolet.
By the way, Dick Trickle's best finish of the year was here at Daytona in February. He finished 11th. Darrell Waltrip making a pit stop as we continue to focus on the action here on the racetrack. Riding with Ted Musgrave. Derek Cope, Michael Waltrip, and Ricky Rudd are running together. There's Bobby Hamilton, the 43.
Jerry Labonte, the Kellogg's car, also as well. And we see Rudd. Some of these other cars might not be able to make it to the end. So Rudd right now just needs to catch on someone, grab, and try to win this thing on fuel mileage.
This is 16th, 17th, and 18th here.
Now some of the folks clocking Jeff Gordon. He's a little bit slower than the 4 car, than Sterling Marlin or even Mark Martin. So I don't know if he's having problems or those cars are running faster than ever. But right now the 24, even though he's leading the race, is not the fastest car on the racetrack.
Walter moving inside of Rudd. Walter taking the position. Let's give a call to Jeff Purvis. Oh, Purvis almost hit the ball. I was just going to compliment him on how smooth he's been all day. He's running at 14th.
Tell you what, we always say never nervous Jeff Purvis. He's a little nervous right now.
Yes. Wow.
You see Michael Waltrip getting by Jerry Cope. Here comes Rudd.
John Kernan has more on Jeff Purvis.
Bob, you might say that James Finch, Jeff Purvis, that whole crew started the weekend out behind the 8 ball. It's a brand new race car. They hadn't had a chance to test it. They bring it down here. They get out. They get a half a lap around the racetrack, and they burned the pistons. They got no practice on qualifying Thursday. Went out the only practice lap they turned, actually. But when they qualified, they still managed to make it into the top 20. Jeff said his job today, just try and ride around, stay out of trouble, keep that car nice and clean, and come through. But hopefully, cross your fingers, the top 10 finish. And Benny, let me tell you something else. If you ever get down there around James Smith's truck, they got some of the best food you can find in the garage area. I sampled it yesterday and purposely didn't tell you about it because they had a limited amount.
Oh, yeah. I've been down there before, John. I just missed it yesterday, that's all.
Don't tempt him with a limited amount of food. Bobby Hamilton in car 43 is running 20th.
He started back at about 40th spot, didn't he?
He started 39, yep. One of the provisional starters.
They had a poor qualifying run on Thursday and decided not to re-qualify on Friday. They had a provisional to use, and they spent that time trying to work on the chassis instead of work on qualifying.
Here's another AutoZone interval leaderboard. The difference between first and second is now almost a second, and Jeff Gordon has a 12-second advantage on Ted Musgrave running back in fifth. Dale Earnhardt, meanwhile, is in 10th position.
Jeff Burton. We see Earnhardt with clear racetrack in front of him as he comes down right by us. He's running a little bit faster. We see Jimmy Spencer.
Earnhardt's now 9th, Spencer 10th.
So he just was able to
still run up pretty high, BP.
Yes, he is.
And so Spencer.
Rusty Wallace seems to be running a little bit better than before.
Rusty is 35th. Down a lap.
We see Loy Allen back there behind Hutch Strickland. He's a couple of laps down. He probably isn't now because he's out of sequence with the leader. Loy Allen right now is only 1 lap down.
He pitted on lap 78, whereas most everybody else pitted in the 90s.
Yep. Now, look at there.
How about that?
Your 0.99 seconds is 0.
As a matter of fact, he has an advantage on Jeff Gordon.
Exactly.
Sterling Marlin has retaken the lead of the Pepsi 400.
Now, we saw the lead that Jeff Gordon had. Is his car slowing down, or did the 4-car pick up? As we see Terry Labonte going by Jeff Purvis and also Ricky Rudd trying to get by.
15th, 16th, and 17th there.
There's Jeff Burton, the Rebestos car, following them.
Well, Sterling Marlin has just been absolutely amazing this year. He is the points leader at the halfway mark of the season, and here's how he got the lead from Jeff.
Down the back straightaway, he just pulls over and just motors by Jeff Gordon.
Looked like an earlier pass that we saw in that corner. Jerry?
Well, standing in Jeff Gordon's pits a moment ago. Now, Gordon's basically been very consistent with his laps, running about 48.44 seconds, 48.43 a lap. But the big difference there is the 4-car. He is running laps at 48 seconds flat. That is 0.4 of a second quicker per lap than the 24 car.
Wow.
That is impressive.
It is impressive that in race trim, they're able to. Earnhardt qualified at 47 flat. And right now, they're racing only 1 second slower. And how about Dave Marcus? He has hung on to this lead draft in the 71 car.
He's a lap down in 28. Here comes Ted Musgrave and Jeff Bodine for 5th place.
Quietly making a name for himself this year in Winston Cup racing, Bob.
He sure is.
Got a couple of 3rd place finishes and 2nd.
How has he done it, and how has he moved up to his 4th position in the point standings this year? 85 behind the leader. Well, in 1994, he had 1 pole, but no top 5s and only 4 top 10s. In the first 14 races of 1995, he has 5 top 5s and 8 top 10s. That's how. Yes, sir. There have been many interesting, impressive drivers in 1995, Ted Musgrave among them, but certainly Sterling Marlin would also have to get a nod in that category because he is the points leader and he is the leader of this race at the conclusion of 110 out of 160 laps. Sterling Marlin leads the Pepsi 400. Gordon is second, then Mark Martin, Dick Trickle, Ted Musgrave. We'll be right back. Bob Jenkins, Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, John Kernan, and Bill Weber back at Daytona International Speedway. Happy 4th of July weekend to all of you. We are at the Pepsi 400, and we have completed 113 of the 160 laps. The yellow car is the leader. That's Sterling Marlin. Second place is Jeff Gordon there in the 24.
Jeff Gordon going by Rick Master, the Skoll Ford, and now Sterling Marlin trying to put Bobby Hillen in the Jasper Engine US Air car down a lap. Trying.
If he does put a lap on him, there will be 24 cars in the lead lap. Hillen is 25th. Sounds like from some of our observers that there may be some debris in turn number 2. That was from one of the competitors, so NASCAR will check that situation carefully.
There's a third place car, Mark Martin. And his car is running so much better than it did earlier in the day. Our fourth place runner right now is Dick Trickle. And look, he is closing in a little bit on Mark Martin.
Oh, about that run for the Dickster, huh?
And Jeff Bodine, Kyle Petty back up there, and Ted Musgrave. The 87 car, the Burger King car, is a lap down.
He is 4 laps down, as a matter of fact, in 40th position. Joe Nemechek. Grab at every opportunity to bust you.
You see Musgrave able to hold his car right on the very bottom of the racetrack.
Let's see where Bill Elliott is. He certainly isn't as strong as he was earlier. He is back to 8th position. Bill, what's wrong with the car?
Well, Bob, when they pitted, they only changed 4 tires, and Tony Gibson told me that's the problem. Bill's pushing on this set of tires. He's loose out there. He's radioed back in that he can't hang on to it anymore, so he's just going to stay out there and ride around until they get a caution or need to pit. So, Benny, I guess perfect only lasts 1 pit stop here at Daytona.
Yeah, exactly. He would not use that word right now, I don't think. You know, Bill Elliott was one of the drivers yesterday announcing the groundbreaking of the Daytona USA, what is that? Clean Park, or they're going to have here at the Speedway?
Yeah, right by the main office.
Looky here, Jeff Gordon closing up on the back bumper of Sterling Marlin.
So Marlin didn't run away from Jeff, although he passed him and put a few car lengths between himself and Jeff, but now Gordon is caught right back up.
And I tell you what, Jeff Gordon is just cooking right now. He is absolutely so hot because all the air from the hot air from his car and from that 4 car is coming right back in that car. They want to come up now and make the pass and get away. They don't want to run those field, Bobby. It's simply too hot in those cars.
While we watch this, Bobby Hamilton is on pit road in an unscheduled pit stop for the Richard Petty car. Oh, look at this.
Oh, man. Jeff Bodine in the 37 almost made contact as they came off that corner.
It's John Andretti that they had to scramble to get by. Andretti running back in 29th position, a lap down. Let's see that again, huh?
There we see the 7, Jeff Bodine, as he closes up on the back bumper of Andretti. Closed very quickly. Andretti having some trouble getting to the corner. Kyle Petty is closed up on the back bumper of Jeff Bodine.
Jeff is 5th. Kyle 6th.
There's a rundown. The top 15 cars. We see that Terry Labonte right now in 15th place. Earnhardt in 9th. Kyle Petty will try to bypass Jeff Bodine. Kyle does it. Musgrave does it.
Jeff shuffled back a couple of spots to what, 7?
Yep. Kyle up to 5th, Musgrave to 6th. Tell you what, after Nemechek fixed that spark plug, car's running very well.
He stayed right up with this group in the last few laps.
Right now, Musgrave, another fellow following Kyle Petty. It's so hot in these cars, and there's been no break. Just green flag, as you said, we're on a record pace, over 173 mile an hour average for the 300 miles that we've run so far.
Looking for Terry Labonte, who is back in 15th.
John Andretti making a pit stop. Evidently he's struggling, tired of fighting that thing, making pit stops, changing tires.
There's Terry running ahead of Ricky Rudd.
And Ricky Rudd wants to stay right there. He now is in 16th. And is he the only car that can make it the rest of the way on fuel?
Terry Labonte, meanwhile, is 8th in the points. He has 2 wins and 5 top 5 finishes and 8 top 10s. Here's Bill.
Talked to Gary Gehart, and he said Terry's not as bad as he was, but not as good as they've been. And Terry radioed back in. The car's a little loose, and he hopes it'll tighten up. And Gary told him on the radio, well, it probably will, but that probably will be in February. So he's going to have to wait a little while for that to happen.
Now he's got a few months to wait.
The temperature drops off about 20, 25 degrees. It'll do wonders for these race cars.
You know, it isn't real sunny here. There's a bit of a haze over some of the racetrack, but nevertheless, the heat and humidity are very high with the temperature expected over 90 degrees here today.
You see now right now, the Sterling Marlin's been able to put just a few car lengths on Jeff Gordon. They caught 3 or 4 cars, traffic cars, and passed them. And doing that, Sterling Marlin was able to gain a little bit on Jeff Gordon.
And at the end of 122 laps, it is Mark Martin running in 3rd spot, then Dick Trickle and Kyle Petty. Stay with us. We'll be back for more of our live coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona. Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State, the intelligent oil for longer engine life.
In the interest of safety, NASCAR has mandated that on super speedways, the rear spoiler be a minimum of 40 degrees. Now, NASCAR would check the rear spoiler prior to the race and as the car stopped on pit road after the race. But the crews were able to get around that. Let me tell you how they did it. They made the braces on the rear deck of the car very, very weak, and the rear deck itself very weak. So at speed, as the wind would push on the spoiler, it would begin to lay back at less than 40 degrees. And we're smarter than NASCAR, but not now. As of this race, NASCAR has built a brand new gauge. This baby right here weighs 11 pounds. They hang that gauge on the spoiler and pulls down 11 pounds, and the spoiler has to be a minimum of 40 degrees with all that weight on it. So you got to make it very, very strong and firm where the wind won't move it. Bob?
All right, thank you, Jerry.
Jack Roush had the most popular truck here on Thursday, the first day here, because he has a machine shop in the back of his truck, and they were all in there making braces for the rear spoiler.
Ted Musgrave and Kyle Petty continue to battle it out on the racetrack. That is the #1 car of Rick Mast that Musgrave is passing right now.
And once again, we saw in NASCAR today Rick Mast talking about getting out of Rock Bridge, Bass County.
Easy for you to say.
Rock Bridge County, Virginia, where they've had all the floods. Helicopter or something? Was it a helicopter?
Yeah, they sent a helicopter for him.
He's not having a lot of luck up there.
Said he built his house a quarter of a mile up the road and on top of a hill to prevent the flooding that he experienced early, but still the water has gotten up to him so that he had to get a helicopter out there.
Bill Elliott's problems continuous. Jimmy Spencer goes by, here goes Robert Presley, and here goes Hutch Strickland, where I say there goes. He tries to go. Side by side when they get to the corner.
Way up high.
Bob, did I hear a rumor you were planning on buying the 26 cars for sale, you know?
Oh, considering it. I'm a few $1 million short, though.
Kenny Bernstein, the owner of the Quaker State Cars, announced he would sell that team, or is going to sell the team.
How about you?
No, thanks. Me and you and all of us here together probably couldn't run up enough money to buy that.
The 19 car is a couple of laps down. Just one in 28th position. But still, he's hanging right with Elliott.
Elliott right now, about anybody can hang with Elliott as he struggles trying to get around the racetrack. Oh, we got a crash.
Our first of the day involves Jeff Purvis. He came off corner. Did he hit anything? I guess he did hit something, Benny. Although
no, not yet.
Well, maybe not.
He just got some flat tires. And right now, we see he's knocked the front air dam off the car down in the grass. He's trying to get back to pavement, but the car stalls right there.
Caution is out for the second time on lap 131. Jeff Purvis off of corner number 4. Slid down through
the tires are flat now and it won't go. He's trying to move forward, but the bottom of the car is dragging the racetrack and he just can't simply go forward.
Here it is once again. We'll see what happened. There he is.
Right in front of the leader, Sterling Marlin. Oh, woo. Watch, we see the tires blow out. Now he gets in the grass and starts doing some plowing, and that's not good on those cars. You see how flat the tire is, and it just will not roll. They'll have to get the wrecker there to pick the car up. Watch as he throws the dirt.
Look, he's trying to, the car is high centered and just no traction there under the rear wheels. Oh, he's sure digging a hole though. And
France is not going to like him digging up his dirt like that.
Well,
now we're going to see. Now Ricky Rudd's, all of his plans gone out the window.
Right.
Because they're all going to pit, they're all going to change tires, and all of them can make it from here.
We have 31 laps to go.
I'm proud of you. You did that very well.
How about that?
You'll all show up this time. What?
Sure they will. They're just playing cat and mouse here. Here comes Marlin, Gordon, Martin, and the others. All those on the lead lap, or most of those on the lead lap, coming in.
All those cars staying on the racetrack are laps down, cannot pit. Only cars on the lead lap allowed to pit the first time by. Jerry Punch.
And here's Martin, Marlin, and Gordon pitting about 15 feet apart down toward turn 1. We would expect to see a routine 4-tire change. They clean the windshield on both cars, pump them off in fuel, and as you said, Benny, everyone can make it the rest of the way here on fuel, no questions whatsoever.
A chassis adjustment on the 24 car.
And a little bit on the Marlin machine, too.
Yes. Jeff Gordon had a little bit the fastest time, and he does beat Sterling Marlin out. Here comes Mark Martin. Who'll be the next car?
Looks like Kyle Petty, then Dick Trickle, Musgrave, and Earnhardt.
Earnhardt, good pit stop for him as Jeff Bodine goes out. And then Ricky Rudd.
Elliott has to go to the grass to avoid hitting cars as he comes out.
Now that'll get the car back to the pits.
Meanwhile, the wrecker has arrived at Jeff Purvis's car. He's the reason for the caution here on lap 131. Still under caution here at Daytona International Speedway. The sun-baked crowd is enjoying every moment of it. We are under caution because of Jeff Purvis's slide off corner number 4, and as he tried to get out of the infield, he dug this hole. That thing's a crater, Benny.
I'm telling you, France ain't gonna like this digging up his grass like that.
Well, round 4 of the Mayflower Truck Division Challenge was at Pocono a few weeks ago. The series is in its 4th year, is designed to honor the NASCAR Winston Cup Transport drivers. The Pocono course tests the skill of the often unsung heroes in the series. Each round is worth $2,500 to the winner. The Pocono round was number 4 of 6. The competition concludes in October at Phoenix. Rodney Pickler is the defending champion. He also won the 92 challenge and is a driver for the Joe Gibbs Interstate Batteries team. 3 different winners in the first 3 races this year. Rod drew the number 1 position and would go first at Pocono. It's been a tough year for Rodney. Coming to Pocono, he was 14th in points.
Glad it's over. It's tough going number 1. Whew. That first draw was a tough one. I don't know how I did.
That effort moved him up 2 positions to 12th. Next out, Tom McCrimmon, driver for the Western Auto Team. He was fast out of the blocks. But unfortunately, he knocked over a cone and suffered a 10-second penalty. But his swift movement compensated for the penalty.
One 10-second penalty, so we'll see what that did to me. Maybe it'll hold up.
McCrimmon moved from 7th to 2nd in points. Next up, Earl Barban Jr. from Penske South, the Miller Genuine Draft Team. He's having a good year, 3rd in points going in. He didn't win here at Pocono, but his effort elevated him to the points lead. Not everyone was successful, though. Spirit still ran high for Dan Heitke and the Bud Team.
How you doing? Think about your run. Bad job, messed up, backing up down there, just got lost.
Citgo transport driver William Smith had a good run here. This was a 2nd-place effort, and it moved him from 8th all the way to 3rd in the points, hoping to collect the $20,000 first prize at the end of the year. Some drivers just couldn't get the hang of the Pocono course. David Atkins from the Burger King team got all crossed up.
Pepsi. I thought I was the only one that could do that. They do. Glad to see you get back here.
The man of the day was Craig Boos, who drives the Winston scoreboard truck. Craig used all of his experience as an over-the-road driver to move quickly through the pylons and the other aspects of the Pocono course, as his competitors looked on in amazement. Craig Boos, number 1 in round 4 of the Mayflower Challenge.
120. That's real good, I hope.
Penalty, you're at a 130, 1-3, you're in the lead.
All right, thank you.
Boos gets the $2,500 check and moved to 8th in points, headed to round 5 at Michigan, August 19th.
And David Atkins had all that trouble. He was a Daytona winner. That different race.
And there are the point standings, Benny. The top 5 at the end of 4 rounds of 6 in 1995. We'll take a quick break as the hamburgers and the hot dogs cook here at Daytona. ESPN Speed World today at Daytona International Speedway in Florida for the Pepsi 400. About to go back to racing after a caution because of Jeff Purvis. Look at the crowd. Record crowd here for this event. The green flag waves, and we are back to racing on lap 135. The leader is Jeff Gordon.
And there are all the cars on the lead lap right behind Jeff Gordon, headed by Sterling Marlin.
Here's the Budweiser race recap. Jeff Gordon has led 47 of 135 laps. We've had 8 lead changes, 2 cautions for a total of 9 laps, and the average speed 172.144. And those that have led a lap include Earnhardt, Marlin, and others. And those are the drivers that have dropped out of the race. Not a real long attrition list so far in this event. 3 wide here in the Tri-Oval. Let's find out what our pit reporters are thinking about. We'll start off with you, Jer.
Updating adjustments in the top 3 cars. Starting with the car number 6 of Mark Martin. 4 tires and fuel. In that pit stop, they made no chassis adjustments. They had made a round and a half a wedge on the first stop, and they haven't touched it since. Now, the 4 car, Tony Glover and company for Sterling Marlin, put a round of bite in the left rear to tighten the car up. And remember the adage, you don't make major changes on a super speedway late in the race. Well, Ray Evernham never heard that adage. Here's what they did to his car, number 24, for Jeff Gordon. They pushed the spoiler down, they put the fenders in, they changed the air pressure in the right front tire, and they took a round out of the right rear, all hoping to tighten up that car number 24. Let's go to John Curtis.
Jerry, nothing that exciting up here on my end of pit road. Business as usual for Dale Earnhardt, Ted Musgrave. 4 tires, gasoline, no chassis adjustments. Jeff Bodine also 4 tires, but they did bump up the spoiler just a bit, trying to get a little more downforce on the rear to tighten that car up. Let's go down to Bill Weber.
John, that caution saved Bill Elliott. His team was preparing to pit his car on that lap when Purvis crashed, so they were able to stay out and come in under the yellow. They put 2 rounds in the right side. His setup had soured terribly. Bill simply couldn't hang on, so they think they might be charging back. They're hoping to get a better set of tires this time. Terry Labonte was just told by crew chief Gary Dehart, you're as fast as the leaders, stay tight on the restart. His spotter told him, Terry, all you got to do is pass 15 cars and you'll be right there.
Yeah, it sounds easy, but I don't think passing 15 cars is going to be real easy this afternoon.
Neither do I. And besides the number 716. There we see Terry Labonte as he closes up on the back of Greg Sachs. There's a lead. We see Mark Martin stand on the back bumper of Sterling Marlin. I wondered, Mark Martin kind of maintained between Jeff Gordon and Sterling Marlin, and he did it all by himself. Now, Dale Earnhardt, he's had troubles today. This pit stop, these guys have made some changes, and we see Kyle Petty slow as he comes off that corner.
Ooh, he got way up high on the track, loses several positions, but is trying to gain the momentum back.
Kyle Petty might have a problem.
A couple of lap cars got around him, Ricky Craven and Brett Bodine. And now Ken Schrader has passed him.
Now the car seems to be back up to speed, so maybe it was just the fact he got the car out of shape.
Or it could have been a situation similar to Mark Martin experienced earlier when the ignition shut off.
Could have been. There he is right in front of Morgan Shepherd and the Sitco Ford.
I'm on the inside. Got one. Still down low, still down low.
Chucky telling Morgan Shepherd the car's still low.
They're all around.
They're all around.
And the word is that Kyle just got out of shape and had to get out of the throttle, and before he knew it, he lost several positions.
See him as he tries to find his way back to the front.
Come on the outside, on the outside. Clear after the 10, clear all around. Inside, inside. Clear after the 23, clear all around.
Man, those spotters got more to do in spot, don't they?
They really do inform you as to where the other drivers are and what you should do.
Outside, outside.
There goes Elliott.
Still there, still there.
Morgan Shepherd now here.
Back on the inside.
26 trying to get on the inside. These guys about to run
Still on the
Chucky to
inside.
death.
Still one on the inside. Clear behind the 33. You're racing the car behind you. Racing the 71. Clear all around. Let's go.
Morgan is 23rd, and the 71 at Dave Marcus 24th.
There we see Elliott losing some spots to Hut Strickland. He's caught on the outside right now, and jeopardy of losing many, many spots as Michael Walter tries to get by. Here comes Robert Presley trying to follow Michael.
We got 19 laps to go, Benny. This thing is going to be ended here before we know it.
Sure is. There's Earnhardt has been able to get by Musgrave. Now, this was the fastest car in practice, the Goodrich Chevrolet. Is he as fast now as he was on Thursday? If he is, those guys in front might be in trouble.
Earnhardt's running 5th. Ted Musgrave is 6th.
There we see the leaders. Jeff Gordon, Sterling Marlin, and Mark Martin. Goes Earnhardt trying to get by Trickle. Musgrave can't do it.
Cannot do it. Now he'll go to the high side as he did for the early part of this race, way up on the upper groove.
And now he's got to run on Trickle.
Trying to take over 4th spot. Let's watch from Ted Musgrave. He did it. He got 4th. And you heard the spotter for Dick Trickle.
Earnhardt, just like in Daytona. Remember when he stopped and made that tire change and closed on Sterling Marlin? Going towards the front. Lake Speed.
Well, he's had a good race.
He has had a good race. Kenny Schrader going by Brett Bodine, the Lowe's hardware car.
Until he lost the lap, he ran with the top 10, but now Lake has dropped back to 20th position, a lap down.
And he was racing with the 11th for the spot, so now he has that position on Brett Bodine. Here's the race for the lead. We know how strong Gordon is. Sterling Marlin, we know how strong he is. Here we see Hutch Strickland trying to bypass Ricky Rudd.
That's for 10th position.
Looks like they're about even, huh?
Yeah, they do.
Now is the low groove, the shorter way around the racetrack, going to work for Hutch Strickland. Here comes Michael Walker to help him.
And Robert Presley and Bill Elliott. Now they move back. Oh.
So Michael says, okay, you can't outride on the inside. Here comes Presley and Bill Elliott.
Well, Elliott couldn't get the job done.
On the outside, he's on the outside. Outside. He's clear behind the 7. Clear behind the 7. Clear. Clear all around. Trying on the inside.
That's a battle for position, Marcus and Shepard.
Still there.
See Derek Cope, he is now running 16th.
You can see. Clear all around.
We've only got 15 more laps to go. There are the top 3. It's Jeff Gordon leading Sterling Marlin, Mark Martin, Dale Earnhardt, and Dick Trickle. We'll be right back. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona is being brought to you by Chevrolet. One car company has won more races in the history of NASCAR, genuine Chevrolet. By Smooth Busch Beer and easy drinking Busch Light. Busch, the official beer of NASCAR. And by NASCAR Story. To order, call 800-71-NASCAR. Well, it is still Jeff Gordon leading Sterling Marlin, but from there on back, the positions have changed just a little bit as Dale Earnhardt has gone to 3rd. And the story here is Mark Martin, who was in 3rd, but now has dropped back to 7th.
Dale Earnhardt passed him coming in. Now we see Kenny Schrader going towards the front. He just gets by Ted Musgrave. Now here comes Mark Martin trying to get back by his teammate.
Jerry, what happened to Martin?
I just spoke with Steve Mill, and he said that they had discussed possibly pulling over and letting the 3 car go by and try to let the 3 car pull them up to the 4 and 24. So that's what they did, decided to pull over. And then when Earnhardt went by, Mark couldn't hold on. Earnhardt just pulled away, and therefore he lost Earnhardt's draft in about 3 other spots on the racetrack.
Here's Hutch Strickland going to the inside of Jeff Bodine, and he was almost in the grass, Benny.
I mean, that white line is divides the apron on the racetrack. He was on the apron as he went down the back straightaway, and he goes by Bodine. Here comes Derek Cope. He goes by Jeff Bodine. Now let's go back to the front. And is this how we started the race or what?
First, second, and third in the points are running in the top 3 at the moment. Sterling Marlin, the points leader, is second, or rather, second. Dale Earnhardt, who is second in points, is third, and Jeff Gordon, who is third in points, is the leader. And here comes Earnhardt trying to take second from Marlin.
Just like Spencer did last year in the 400 when he passed Ernie Irvin. Earnhardt got that run up high in 1 and 2 and went right by Sterling Marlin. He'll be trying that on Jeff Gordon now.
Quite a story for Dale Earnhardt, who appeared to be struggling immensely in the early part of this race, having to go way up high to keep the car from spinning. And now the Richard Childress team and Dale Earnhardt have moved to second, have their eyes set on Jeff Gordon. There are 9 laps to go in the Pepsi 400.
This is getting to be a very familiar picture here in Daytona. Jeff Gordon and Dale Earnhardt. Watch. He'll go high, try to get that run coming off the corner.
Off the corner. Let's see if he makes a move. Doesn't have quite enough momentum build up, Benny. Still about a 2 or make that, wow, 1 car length separation between first and second as Earnhardt closes in. And the Rainbow Warriors are holding their breath.
They are. They're saying a prayer.
Marlin seems to have dropped back just a little bit, Benny.
Yes, he does. Maybe he's just waiting to see what's going to happen with here and then get these cars lined up. There's really, he has no one to run with. These two cars are hooked up nose to tail, and Sterling Marlin is a little bit too far back. Here we go, Earnhardt again. Up on the high side, trying to get that run. Coming down off turn 2. He lost ground that time.
Yeah, he did.
And here comes Trickle and Schrader.
And Mark Martin. Don't go away, folks. This thing is far from over.
Mark Martin's in cars. He watches Kenny Schrader.
How about Dale Earnhardt running second right behind Jeff Gordon? And the leader, Jeff Gordon, looks back on second place Dale. They cross the line again in complete lap. 1:53, 7 to go.
Now is Earnhardt going to try once again? Yes, he is. Trying his best to get a run as he comes off the second corner. Trying to get that momentum up.
It's not getting him any place though, Benny. He can maybe close in on Jeff at that point, but from there on, Jeff just seems to have command. Jeff Gordon has never won here at Daytona. Earnhardt, of course, is a 2-time winner here, but both of the victories have come in this race.
Jeff Gordon has won the Dash. He's won a 125-mile qualifying race here in Daytona, but he's never won a points-paying race.
Right.
Bill Elliott going by leg speed, trying to get back to the front.
The 9 car is a lap down. Bill Elliott running in 10th position. Once again, Earnhardt up on the high side of the racetrack in turn 2, off the banking now and down the backstretch.
They just can't mount a charge.
5.5 laps to go. Jeff Gordon won at Rockingham. He won at Atlanta and then won on a short track at Bristol. Looking for his 4th win of the year, Dale Earnhardt seeks his 3rd win of the year. He won at North Wilkesboro and at Sears Point. Here's the completion of lap 155.
And we can see the difference that the draft is making. These two cars running together with 5 laps to go are pulling ever so slightly away from Sterling Marlin. Earnhardt's going to try that once again.
I think he's got some momentum build up this time, Benny. Let's see what happens off the corner. Nope. Looked like he had a better shot at it that time than in previous laps, but still was not able to get around Jeff Gordon. And Richard Childress is loving every minute of it. Would like it a lot better if his driver were in the lead.
That's right. He would like it a lot better if his driver was in the lead. You know, right now Earnhardt keeps trying that high groove,
Now we have a crash in turn number 3. Are we going to end under caution?
This could be the race coming back for the line. These cars did not take the yellow flag. They will be racing back to the line, and the race might be over when they get back.
It's Mike Wallace who has crashed in turn number 3. However, the car has slid clear down to the infield grass. It is not in anyone's way. Now let's see as they come off the back stretch and into turn number 3 once again, what is going to happen? This could be the race. The caution flag is waving. The 90 car is underway. He did not stop. We have a safety truck going to him. Here they come off the 4th corner. Onto the tri-oval. This could be the race right here. Gordon is going to beat Earnhardt to the caution flag. And there are 3 laps to go.
Ever see Mike Wallace? He has a car off the racetrack. They'll send out a truck quickly to see if there's any debris down there. And we might see green, white. at the same time.
Yep, they would have to get the one more lap to go signal this time around. That would signify the completion of lap 198.
158?
Yeah, 158. They would get the green on 159 for the one lap dash. Here is the replay of Mike Wallace's crash in turn 3.
He goes up, just brushes the wall with the rear and goes up, and I think he's going to do the damage to the front when he comes down off the bank and hits the apron of the racetrack. There you see he does the damage when he can't make the transition from the 31-degree bank to the apron of the racetrack.
Yep. Wow. Well, let's see what happens here. The pace car has the field in tow as Wallace has made it to his pits.
How many do you think will pit for tires?
Oh, maybe about half the field. Okay, let's take a break here before this conclusion of the Pepsi 400. Don't go away. The race isn't over yet. Get ready, folks. This is going to be something. This time around, they will get the green and the white flag. There'll be one lap of competition to decide it all and who wins the Pepsi 400 for 1995. Will it be Jeff Gordon, Dale Earnhardt, Sterling Marlin, or anyone else?
We never know at this point. There we see Earnhardt. We had cameras in the first 2 cars.
Benny, you can't help but think right now about what happened to Jeff Gordon at Pocono. Remember?
Missed a shift?
Yes.
Yeah, he's been taking shifting lessons.
I'm sure he's not going to let it happen again.
No, he will not. I don't think he will miss a shift.
You know, with these restrictor plates, it's going to take him quite a while to get to full speed, so it could depend upon who has the better gear.
Well, that's right. And drafting is going to be very, very critical down that back straightaway. They could be 5 abreast down the back straightaway because at a reduced speed, drafting even more critical. Here they come.
Get ready, folks. Here we go. Jeff Gordon has the field in tow, looking for the green. It's out. The green and white simultaneously. One lap to decide who wins the Pepsi 400.
Marlin goes to the inside of Earnhardt.
Earnhardt blocked him down low. Earnhardt blocked Marlin down low. Mark Martin has the high side of the racetrack in turn 2 as they come off of the corner and down the backstretch for the final time. Jeff Gordon still has the lead. We have contact between a couple of cars, but everybody keeps it straight. They battle for position.
Sterling Marlin down into the outside of Earnhardt. He has the piece by Earnhardt.
Jeff Gordon, though, has about a car length and a half lead on Marlin and Earnhardt as they battle for second position through the 3rd and 4th corners.
That battle side by side should give the race to Jeff Gordon.
Here they come. Jeff Gordon has the lead. Earnhardt moves to the inside. They scramble. It's Jeff Gordon winning. And I think Marlin got second. Oh, and we have contact between a couple of cars as they cross the line, but everybody is okay. Wow. Martin, I should say Jeff Gordon has won the Pepsi 400. And you think that young man isn't happy?
He's talking to the crew. We saw him on the radio talking to Ray Evernham and whoever's listening. Man. Got that winning that down, telling all those people just how happy he is.
Here's Jerry Punch.
Ray Evernham, it doesn't get any better than that.
No, that was really great. You know, we got to thank God first because, you know, he's the most important one. But these guys here, you know, Jeff Gordon and this crew, Rick Hendrick, everybody, this makes me feel really good. Our car kind of went away, and the guys got it back. They made 1,000 adjustments on that last pit stop and still got out in the lead. You know, my hat's off to Tony Glover and his guys and Andy and his guys. But, boy, it's a real nice one. It makes victory sweet, especially after the problem we had here in the Daytona 500.
Can you tell these excited folks? They're still jumping up and down here in the DuPont pits, and they are going to run to victory lane as their young wonder boy, they might call him Beach Boy now, has won his first at Daytona. Bob?
Well, here is the battle between Marlin and Earnhardt for second place as they came down. They touched, they rubbed.
They touched again.
And that's how they finished.
You know, it reminded me of Bill Elliott. Oh, there we see the contact between Robert Presley and Jimmy Spencer.
Yeah.
It reminded me of Bill Elliott and Rick Wilson several years ago. There we see, look at the damage to the rear.
Yeah. Jeff Gordon will be the one we talk with in victory lane when we come back to Daytona.
Okay, come on out. Come on out. Okay. I don't need that.
Incredible jubilation here in the 37th annual Pepsi 400, and Jeff Gordon, congratulations. What a way to finish one.
Thank you, Jerry, man. That thing, it was on a rail today. We had one time where we missed a little bit on it, but you know, we had a great pit stop. We lost this thing in the pits here in February, and my guys know it, but they're strong. They fought back, and they won this one for us in the pits. They got us out there first. I said, all you have to do is get me out first, and we can hold them off. I didn't want to see that caution because Earnhardt's the best there is on restarts, and luckily him and Sterling were battling back there, and we come across the finish first, man. It was awesome. Awesome.
What was going through your mind when you saw the green and the white wave simultaneously? What did you think Earnhardt and the 4-car were going to try to do in that final lap?
Well, see, Earnhardt kept laying back, and he's really good at like waiting a little bit, and you get out and get away, and then he's got the draft, and he just blows right by. So I actually was letting up on the start. I'd take off, I'd slow up a little bit, let his front end get behind me and push me, and then him and Sterling start battling. Once they got side by side, I knew it was all over. But hey, got to thank DuPont Automotive Finishes, Valvoline, Coca-Cola, Kellogg's, GMAC, man. It's just a ton of people on this car. Goodyear, man, they had a great tire today. I'm really, really proud of this team. They did a great job. We haven't won here an official race, and this is the one. This is the one to win.
That's about as official as you can get. His 4th win of the year. They call him Wonder Boy. How about Bonus Boy? He won the Unical bonus. Try Beach Boy, his first win at Daytona Beach. Let's go to Bill Weber.
Jeff Gordon has won his 6th career victory, his 5th on a super speedway, and his 4th of 1995 and his 77th NASCAR Winston Cup race. Well, Jeff Gordon wins here at Daytona in the Pepsi 400. Finishing in 2nd position was Sterling Marlin. And this, of course, was the 14th race of the 95 season. In 94, he had 1 win, 2 top 5s, and 5 top 10s. In 95, he came into this race as the points leader with 2 wins, 5 top 5s, and 11 top 10s. Let's talk with him. Here's Bill.
And Sterling Marlin, congratulations, a 2nd place finish. You've been a part of some thrilling conclusions here at Daytona.
Well, we have. We've come up a little short. We had a real good car, and we just got off on the chassis at the last. Couldn't, the car got to pushing real bad, and we had to lift, and lucky to get 2nd. Dale was coming at the end, and we had a good battle there at the end, fighting for 2nd. So, come up a little short. Like I say hi to my grandmama at home. She's a little puny, so we'll be able to see.
Can you walk us through that last lap? Take us around, Sterling.
Well, we went in 1, and I had a good run at Dale and started on the outside, and he moved up, so I cut under him, and he cut down on me. And I like to wreck us both down there, and had to back up, and everybody else got jumped up behind us, and started down the back straightaway, and he jumped up. I jumped on the outside of him and got by him going in 3, and we was beating the bang and coming through here. Had a good time.
You didn't look at any of that behind you, did you?
No, I was too busy trying to keep mine in the right direction. I had a little help from the left rear quarter panel, just trying to steer it straight.
There we see Earnhardt. There we see just a little bit of contact going down in turn 1 between Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt.
Down the backstretch.
They finally shifted into high gear at that point. Now the 4-car is going to be beside of him, and that's what's going to win the race for Jeff Gordon. There we see the 4-car come in there.
And now right there they touch.
Yep.
And they touch again. Wow. Oh, and there's the line. Marlin with a 2nd place finish. And the guy with the best view of that whole thing was the one who was finishing in 4th position. And that, of course, was Mark Martin.
You got to hurry.
Go, Bill.
Well, Mark, 4th place finish here today. Some wild moments down the stretch.
Well, that's what happens when you have cautions on these speedway races. Ben, it was wonderful going green all that long distance. Our car, we didn't have anything for those Chevrolets at all. But on the long runs, we could hold her on pretty good. And I was hoping it'd go green all the way. Those last 2 cautions, it killed us. Then we looked up and got a 4th place anyway. So we'll take it as we had an awful good Ford today, and so did Ted Musgrave. And we got to be proud of that.
Good day for Roush Racing. Now let's hear from Dale Earnhardt.
Well, Dale, what a finish there. You almost had it, but just not quite enough, huh?
Well, second was all I was going to get, it looked like, and then they had the caution. And that last lap, it was all I could do, just keep Sterling behind me much. If he had passed me, they'd all passed me, and it was a bump and run kind of thing. It was just using all the race car we could, but, you know, he got by us anyway. He had the best car in the last lap there.
But a great job by your crew after having that miscue on the pit stop. You got behind. They worked on the handling all day.
Well, we came back up there. The car's a pretty good car, and the guys worked hard on it. And, you know, we just ran decent all day. We just never did have that edge that we needed in Daytona.
Well, a lot of people thought that this would be the guy with the edge, but today comes home third.
Dale Earnhardt in third position. The Pepsi 400 won by Jeff Gordon in a dramatic last lap dash. Back with more right after this. ESPN Speed World coverage of the Pepsi 400 from Daytona is being brought to you by Valvoline, the #1 choice of America's top mechanics. By Pontiac and your local Pontiac dealer, we are driving excitement. And by coal-filtered Miller Genuine Draft, making the world a very cool place. Well, it's a hot day in Daytona, temperature 90 degrees. The crowd begins to file out. Now we'll enjoy the rest of their 4th of July holiday weekend after seeing Jeff Gordon win this afternoon in the Pepsi 400.
See all those tires stacked on pit road? You wonder, why don't the teams take them back to the transporter? Because the teams do not transport their tires and wheels. There are a couple of companies that haul the tires and wheels to and from the racetrack. They'll bring a couple of trucks by in a moment, load those up. They'll take them home, dismount the tires, keep them for the team, and they'll take the wheels to Loudon, New Hampshire next week, give them to Goodyear. They'll mount the tires up. The teams do not even fool with their tires and wheels anymore.
Good idea. You can see the tires being put on their haulers there in the pit area.
Almost every team anymore depends on someone else to haul the tires and wheels around.
Well, we're compilating the full field rundown, and we will come back and show that to you in just a moment. We can tell you that Jeff Gordon beat Sterling Marlin and Dale Earnhardt.
Back at Daytona, the 37th annual Pepsi 400 is history, and we're here in the garage area with Ted Musgrave. Ted, you finished 4th in February, 5th here today. You got to like this place.
Yeah, I never did used to like Daytona, but now that I got in that Roush car, it's altogether different. They handle good, they got the right horsepower, and you can make a lot of moves out there I never had to do before.
That last restart, you were 7th on the restart. You ended up gaining a couple of spots. If you'd had a couple more laps, could you have made it more?
Well, it's the way they were beating and banging on each other. Mark and I just hooked up on the outside to get a run on them, and it worked out really well to pinch off the guys down low so we can stay in the draft down the backstretch up high, and it got us a few positions. So I think if Mark and I work together again in Talladega, we'll be in good shape.
Well, this guy's in great shape when it comes to the point standing, still in 4th position overall. Let's check in with Bill Weber.
Well, Jerry, there's a Hendrick Motorsports car on victory lane, but no one was more determined on that last lap than Ken Schrader. You were trying to make yourself a hole there, weren't you?
Yeah, I was worried about Mark and Ted getting underneath me and worrying about that. I let them get on the outside of me, and I kept trying to cut Mark up, but I was pretty sure he had about a foot, you know, and didn't need to wreck any of us right then. So we come away 6th with the Budweiser car after the way our year's been going. That's not bad. I think we've been top 6 last 7 years in this race, so not too bad. We'll get them next week.
So lift for Ken Schrader. Let's go to John Kernan. He's got Kyle Petty.
Well, Kyle Petty looks pretty good right now. He's sitting here doing the interview on MRN Radio. Kyle, of course, a few races we have seen you this year. Kyle, you get out and you look worn out, but you had a little something different in the car, something that we showed the folks at Talladega that Bob Shack had in an ARCA race to blow cool air into your helmet. How did it help?
Hey, I think it worked pretty good. I'm not passed out laying on the ground, so I have to say, and it was really, really hot. The ignition got hot and went out in the car, and we kept having to pour water and stuff on it, kind of like Mark still. So it was really extra hot inside the car. So, I think when you get in this situation, it's not that you need a lot of help. You just need a little bit. And, that thing gave us just a little bit. A couple of times I was hoping it'd blow a little bit more so I could pump it into my carburetor and cheat a little bit, but they wouldn't let me. I'd like to say hello to Montgomery Lee and Austin. They're sitting at home. They didn't get to come to the beach this week. They're sitting at the beach in Charleston, but see you next week sometime.
It didn't look like anybody was going to catch Gordon or Earnhardt or Marlin, but a good day for you guys.
Yeah, it was a really good day. I told Felix last night when I talked to him, I said, we're running pretty decent. We can't run with the 4, we can't run with the 3, the 24, the 18. Those 4 cars are the class of the field. And, you know, we were pretty good. We got up to 5th or 6th, and then when the 18 had trouble, we run 3rd or 4th right along in there, and it was good. And then the ignition started getting hot, just like Mark's did, and it'd run and then it'd quit, and it'd run and then quit. And, you know, and then I ran down across the apron down here and like the wreck there after the last restart, I guess, one of the restarts. So it was, and all in all, it was a good day.
All right, congratulations, Kyle. Bob?
That's Kyle Petty, and we will have the results and the point standings when we come back to Daytona in just a moment. Back at Daytona, here are the unofficial results of the Pepsi 400. Jeff Gordon brings home his 4th victory of 1995. Looking down the standings, Bill Elliott, who ran so well, finished in 10th position. Jeff Bodine, who ran well, finished in 14th. Michael Waltrip was 15th.
Yep, Jimmy Spencer, the defending champion, was 9th. There we see Strickland, Sachs, Terry Labonte back in 19th. Ricky Craven, a lap down early, finished 22nd. Hung in there the rest of the day.
Rusty Wallace just can't get a good finish at Daytona, can he? Finishes 27th today.
And Jimmy Hensley in the 22 car finishes 30th today, his first race for Bill Davis.
And there you see the rest of the unofficial results. Steve Grissom, the first out. Dale Jarrett, also with an engine problem early that dropped him to 42nd finishing position. How about the top 5 in points? Well, it's still Sterling Marlin on top, but only 7 now separate Jeff Gordon, who moves to 2nd in points. Dale Earnhardt is 11 behind. Musgrave and Martin are 4th and 5th in the point standings. We'll be back to wrap things up from Daytona when we return.
Back at Daytona, awesome Bill Elliott was awesome today. And, Bill, you had them on their feet when you made that charge from 43rd to 3rd early in the race.
Well, the only thing the race was 60 laps too long. But all the McDonald's guys did a heck of a job today, and I'd just like to thank everybody. I mean, we started 43rd, and everybody worked hard, and I think today showed we can run up front. We just need a little more work, but we'll get there.
Bill Elliott's fans know he's a second-half team. Watch him in the second half of the season, Bob.
Top 10 finish for Bill Elliott today in a race that Jeff Gordon won. And our next event here on ESPN will be the Bud at the Glen at Watkins Glen, New York on August the 13th at 1 o'clock Eastern Time. However, we will have qualifying from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 2nd Brickyard 400 coming up the first week of August. Coming up next, the Extreme Games here on ESPN. We're glad you could join us once again. Jeff Gordon has won the Pepsi 400. For Benny Parsons, Jerry Punch, John Kernan, and Bill Weber, this is Bob Jenkins. Thank you for joining us. Have a safe and enjoyable July 4th holiday weekend. For now, so long, everyone. And we now take you to the Extreme Games.